in the afternoon, our audience will be in the room, and in the morning we just finished the two keynote speech. This is the third speech. The keynote speech topic is best practice of strategy transformation of library. I'm Xingguan Li from Shanghai Jiao University. I'm honored to chair this session. And in this afternoon, we will have three keynote speeches in total. The first one is here, and we have 4 honorary speakers in this session. The first speaker is very, very famous and popular and respectable and lots of information. That's Professor Wu Jianzhong. He is a former director of Shanghai Library, and now he's the director of University of Macau University Library. His topic title is Exploration and Practice of the New Generation University Library, the case of University of Macau Library. So let's welcome.
Thank you, Professor Li, for your kind words. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have long been thinking of a question. What should a modern library look like? We have built many new high-quality libraries and invented many new concepts and technologies. But as library professionals, are we so confident in ourselves? Sometimes I think we are less knowledgeable on libraries than others. One day I came across an article published in Atlantic and the discussion it sparked that touched me deeply. I'd like to share it with you in the beginning of my presentation. On October 4th, 2019, The Atlantic published an article titled, "College Students Just Want Normal Libraries." The author is Alia Wang. She was a columnist of Atlantic, and she said, and firstly, she questioned the recent luxurious and dazzling decorations of university libraries, such as Data WAL or Idea Lab. She thought they were just a flashy technology. The article is not very long. Finally, she concluded that the survey data and experts suggest that the students generally appreciate libraries most for their simple, traditional offerings, such as a quiet place to study or collaborate on a group project, the ability to print research papers and access to books. The article caused a heated debate. 2 weeks later, Luke Orland, an architect of American Institute of Architects, published his blog titled "The Contemporary Library as Knowledge Infrastructure." And she said that the general nostalgia of the article gets it slightly wrong. It is not only that libraries need to continue to provide the simple functions mentioned in the piece, but they also must perform a central role in the production of new knowledge. He continues, where once the validation, storage, and access to information necessarily happened in the library through print media, it is now disaggregated across devices, technologies, and locations. The production of new knowledge continues to require organized access to information, and the library is the primary institution equipped to carry out this function. He continues, we believe a library is and will remain a piece of physical and social infrastructure that help us navigate information and gain knowledge. And finally, he suggests that we should tolerate and even engage in some experimentation and see where it leads us. He is not a librarian, but his words made us librarians feel small. My topic today is exploration and practice of the new generation of university libraries. New generation, not next generation. That means what is going on and what is happening now and what we are practicing now. We are on a new horizon. One that is not book-based, but knowledge-based. When knowledge becomes central at the center, everything in the library revolves around it. Due to the time constraint, I'd just like to share some of the view in light of the development of the University of Macau Library. What should a modern research library look like? My answer are the following three. Library is a Gesamtkunstwerk. That means a total work of art. Library is knowledge infrastructure, and the library is the heart of the university. First, library is a Gesamtkunstwerk. That is a German term often used by German composer Wagner. He thinks that library should be a beautiful building, should be a total work of art. Taking a good example, the University of Macau Library is designed by Professor He Jintang. He is also the designer of the China Pavilion of the World Expo in Shanghai in 2010. And his concept is that library should be open and transparent, and readers see the library as a stage where they can interact freely, either as actors and audience. You can see there are two terraces here. We call it Sky Garden. Our international professors like the venue for activities. For instance, they often have open course, lecture, and also exhibitions on the terraces. To make every corner of the library an attraction, the library used some potential spaces to organize cultural activities. We use some hallway to, for instance, we make this as a corner of arts. And also on the top right, you can see a manuscript corner. Actually, it is a long corridor connecting to the university archives. And here we can exhibit some manuscripts and autographs. And also, when you go through the shelves, you may feel bored. So we set up a shelf gallery. You can see here, these are the Peking opera masks made by our students. So we display them here. The library often organizes various cultural activities in the reading garden, just outside of the building. In our university, we have a lot of cultural societies by our students. They often like to use the venue for activities. In November 2019, an award ceremony of the Sasakawa Cup essay contest was organized. The Chinese students dressed in Han nationality costumes and Japanese students in kimonos read Li Bai and Genji Monogatari. So it is a wonderful theme that a reading activity can be a beautiful show. The University of Macau is the only comprehensive university in the world with the Portuguese, English, and Chinese as the official languages. And Portuguese language education is a unique feature of the university and serves as a bridge between Macau and Portuguese-speaking countries. And here you can see the Portuguese corner. Our Portuguese professors and students like to use this place for activities. And this is the exhibition in commemoration of a professor lived in Macau. He is a Portuguese. The library has a rich collection of rare books, including recent acquisitions of a manuscript related to China-Portugal relations in 1725 and 1728. Remember, there are only 2 copies of the manuscripts, and one of them is in our library. And also, we recently purchased the Euclid's Elements published in 1491. That is an incunabula. In whole China, including Taiwan, Macau, and Hong Kong, there are only about 20-something copies of incunabula. Now, Macau has one. The second, library is a knowledge infrastructure. I just published an article in the Journal of Library Science in China. And my general view are the following 3. The first, the librarian's job is not to tell users how to use resources, but to guide users to add values by using resources. The second, the more complete a university's collection of academic assets is, the higher its value-added benefits will be. The third, the difficulty in building an institutional repository lies not in technology, but in culture. The key to building knowledge infrastructure is collaboration with academics and administrators. We have just finished a strategic plan for the next 5 years. To save time, I'm not going to, I just want to skip. The university library must collect scholars' academic achievements as comprehensively as possible. As knowledge infrastructure, the academic assets must be well collected. And this is our scholars page, including all the teaching staff of the university. Now we have about 800 academic staff with 58,000 research outputs. And we collect a lot of gray literature other than books and journal papers. And also we set up a Scholars collection for the printed books by our staff. And also students' theses are very important academic assets. We have a complete set of it with 16 million records. And also we we started a research data center. To assist the university's third mission, we have developed a patent information service and cooperated with Guangdong Science and Technology Library to set up a joint service center of the intellectual property information service, and developed media studio for users to enhance their media skills and digital scholarship space for users to use expensive facilities and for group work. And also start the first agreement with Cambridge University Press on OA, and now we have about 6 such agreements. After 1 year practice, in our university, 50 people have benefited from it, and total saving reached to 1.2 million pataka. That equals to 1 million Chinese yuan. And also we organized various information literacy programs and book clubs with residential colleges. The third, library is the heart of the university. The university library is not only located in the center of the campus, but also a creative space that integrates online and offline activities and activates knowledge and cultural exchanges. The library hosts lectures, exhibition, and new books release, and integrates all these under the name of Boya series. Now it is a well-known brand in the university. And the university library is responsible for the Portuguese Resource Alliance, which is composed of 42 university libraries in the Portuguese-speaking countries and China that provide Portuguese teaching. And because we have a platform, we have alliance, on top of it, we can develop many new services. Here, I take an example. This is the International Forum on Chinese and Portuguese Languages. This is not a librarian's job, but because we have an alliance, we have the resources, so the Portuguese department to rely us on this. We had one successfully last year, and also we are going to have the second forum next year. And the library is responsible also for the university gallery, which serves as Information Center. And the library is also responsible for Museum of Art. The past exhibition displayed original paintings of the French Impressionism from the 19th to the 20th century. And the forthcoming event is the exhibition of Song and Yuan paintings. And we also cooperate with university administrative units to set up the archives. We held an exhibition immediately after the Macau Archives Law came into effective in March 2024. I believe that in the new round of development, all libraries are on the same starting line. Even if some libraries are a step slower, they still have opportunities to surpass. University of Macau Library is a small one and young, but we are here to learn from you, and I believe that my library is also promising in future. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Director Wu. Yeah, he got lots of information and tell us what the dreamed library is and how University of Macau Library do, and maybe lots of themes we can share. So let's thank Professor Wu again. Now, Next speaker is Professor Huang Xianjun. He is a university librarian of Nanjing University. His major, he is a scientist, major in geography and ocean science. Exactly. And but today he will talk about as a librarian. So let's welcome Professor Huang to give a speech.
好，谢谢。
Thank you. Distinguished guests and distinguished librarians, guests, I'd like to introduce to all of you on the understanding of high-quality reading and new productive forces production. Yes, I'm specialized in geography and oceans research, so it is my job to tell you the importance of extensive reading, as well as its role in the space manner on the future knowledge development and expansion. So I'd like to touch upon several bullet points as follows. First one is the high quality of the readings. Is there any internal relations with the future development? If there is some internal relations, so spatially speaking, is there any difference or the gaps? For example, the geographies with more readings, will they produce more? If no, then why would we create good environment for reading and encourage reading? And second, I'd like to take some CNKI's figure and data to do some more analysis. And then we are going to talk about the innovations and its relation with the high-quality reading mechanisms development. So first of all, I'd like to touch upon some internal relations between the geographies with more readings and the knowledge transfer. Yes, we emphasize innovations of sci-tech, and the powers of the sci-tech advancement would be featuring by the development of the talents and high education systems. If we can nurture more talents in sci-tech, then we can look at the indicators of its reading literacies, as well as the knowledge enrichment, also what we have done in terms of AI development and advancement. Based on this understanding, we believe that the libraries must be faced with some problems like the protection of knowledge, and how can we enhance the ability of reading, how can we be more innovative as a library. On the other hand, how can it provide more services and better services to the teachers and the students? And how can we showcase the synergies of the different factors, like the CNKI has been in cooperation with the different organizations around the world to demonstrate the expansive magnitude of the knowledge and also the competitiveness of the different disciplines. So we need the libraries to become the repositories of the knowledge, to become the platforms of the utilization of knowledge. As we all know that for the libraries, it is the platforms for the integrating the knowledge and the practices, and also create the space for the knowledge production and the transfer. So China's wisdom must be comprised of education of knowledge, knowledge utilization, and spread and communications. So the dream and aspiration of humanity is to encourage the dreams and aspirations for truth and wisdom and production of knowledge. So we believe through high-quality reading, especially the service based on data and the supervision for high-quality writing and the literatures, more services can be provided for the purpose of research and learning, so as to lead to the high-quality learning. So for the data providers, they provide the data as the products. Does it always mean the high-quality reading materials? Will they be positively related with the knowledge transfer and knowledge production? We also have done some analysis. And also, we hope that the CNKI can provide us the data within 4 years. from 2019 to 2022, the downloading number of the articles from CNKI is about 2.2 billion. And the publications of the articles every year, almost 1.1 million of the publications of the articles will be realized. As well, we have to look at the number of the application of the patents. The publications is about 5.7 million. What is relation between these three? I'm only talking about the Chinese articles and the readings from these articles from CNKI. So these are the relations of the geographies versus in relation with the number of the publications and readings. The yellow part refer to the geographies with a low relation or relevance. The deeper the color is, the closer the relation would be. On the top, you can see this is about the number of the publications, and the second line refers to the first line refers to the number of the downloading of the article. Second is the number of the publication. Third line refers to the applications of the patent. So from which we can see that the downloading number of the articles and the reading and the publications of the patents, geographically speaking, have its preference, and the distribution has its uniqueness. Like in Yangtze River Delta region and Pearl Delta region, the downloading number of the articles and publications of the articles and the applications number are all on the top. So for the downloadings, we can just assume that all of these downloading are supposed to be read, because the downloading of the articles can produce the knowledge easier. And we've done some modeling based on this data. For further analysis, this is the Mora scattering pattern. There is a positive spatial relations between the downloadings and the knowledge acquisitions, both from 2019 to 2020 all the way to 2022. The applications also fall into the same patterns of the Mora scattered pattern. Therefore, through this analysis, we can say the geographies with the highest number of the downloading would be the place with the highest number of the applications of the patents, as well as the publications of the articles. Then we put them into the different combination, and Jiangsu and Shanghai are with both high number of the publications and downloading and the publications, but when it comes to Tibetan plateau, that is the low plus low area. When it comes to the publication, Jiangsu and Shanghai and Shandong are at both high, and Tibet is at the low and the low area. Jiangsu and Zhejiang are at the high level with another two combination, and means that Guangdong province has the highest number of the application, but the downloading number is relatively lower. So we are looking at the number of our research and compare it with the other model, that is from the WAL model, and these are for the English articles. So the WAL's publication concentrated at Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei province.
This is 2020. In 2023, actually still in Beijing, Tianjin, and surrounding areas, we've seen a high cluster. And in Guizhou and surrounding areas, there is a low cluster. Then why Beijing, Tianjin, and other areas with a high cluster? Why is there such a trend? Because we know that Beijing hosts a lot of scientific institutes like the CAS, Chinese Academy of Sciences. So we can see that the number of publication of scientific topics is very high. At the same time, We also studied the space distribution of book reading for WAL, 2020 versus 2023. Third, empirical models. What are the relationship between them? So we look into the number of publication for journal articles and the number of downloads. We see that there is an obvious positive correlation between the two. Namely, if for a certain province, the higher the downloads are for journal articles, the publication volume is also higher. So we can see there is a positive correlation between the two. And the higher number of downloads for journal articles is closely related to a number of factors. You can see the statistical results here. However, we also found that the downloads of journal articles are also positively correlated with the number of publications for the next year. So the current number of downloads is also positively correlated with the number of publications for next year. That is very interesting. That tells us if for the current year the number of downloads is higher, then the publications for the next year is also higher. So this is our study of the number of publications for WAL. Then why is there such a trend? And also for CNKI, actually our study results for CNKI is slightly different from the study of SNWR. Then why is such a difference? We know that for CNKI, a lot of articles are published in Chinese. And also, many of the course terms are also published on CNKI. In comparison, SNWR mostly accommodates publications in English, so there is a slight difference. So we can discover that why there's a difference between data, between different types of data. If you give me the same 10,000 journal articles, but if I conduct our study, you can see that there is a difference between these. And we also studied the correlation between patent applications and the journal article downloads. We can see there is also a positive correlation between the two. For a certain service, the higher the downloads are, the higher the possibility for patent application for the next year is. So if you look into the database more, you will find more results interesting. And we also studied how COVID-19 impacts our reading, both in terms of the reading methods and reading conditions. During COVID-19, some of the libraries were closed down. Then how can we help the users continue their reading? Then e-reading became the only option. So we studied which factors would influence our choices in terms of e-reading. And we studied data over 5 years. We found that the per capita GDP is an important factor. And also the number of science and technology journal articles is also a metric. If the number is high, then the digital reading is more dominant. And also, other factors include the number of regional universities, the share of population with a bachelor degree or above, the per capita public library collection, the share of public fiscal expenditure. All of these factors were taken into account when we study what factors influence e-reading. So we found that the economic development level is an important factor. In Western, less developed regions, in COVID-19, the e-reading was quite sparse. So the how well is a region economically developed is impacting the scale of e-reading. And also, like I said just now, how many people are there in a region with a bachelor degree or above is also an important factor. And also, the number of universities and colleges and the number of publications are also important factor. If the number is high, then the e-reading is more prominent. If we integrate the data from different e-reading platforms, maybe the result will become a little bit different, because now I only garner the data from one such e-reading platform. But such result is also interesting to us, because we found that the high quality reading is highly correlated with the quality insurance system, the system of technology application, and the system of academic research. Looking into the future, how do we create such a high-quality reading scheme? I have 3 thoughts. I hope that we can realize a positive correlation between high-quality reading and high-quality knowledge production. Number 1, we should facilitate the high-quality reading through the high-quality knowledge system. And that cannot be realized with high-quality literature and materials. If we limit or set obstacles to the introduction of such materials and documents, then the effect will be detrimental. So we need to create a high-quality knowledge system. Based on the scientific literature, we also need to provide high-quality knowledge service. For example, at Nanjing University, we put forward 1 + X + Y AI curriculum system. And I require the librarians to collaborate with CNKI to build a course on AI plus information literacy, in which we invited CNKI people to give the students lectures. And the CNKI gladly accepted our invitation. So in this way, we can cultivate talents with information literacy. And like I said, we should also bolster our knowledge-related literature service. This is the first aspect. Second, we should build a future learning laboratory that can facilitate high-quality reading. The Future Learning Laboratory was authorized by MOE for universities. We need to think about how to put that into reality. In China, the education system is actually now independent of the library system. However, I think we should learn from the UK and connect the two. So in China's educational system, it's a challenge right now. So that's why we hope that we can build a future learning laboratory. In this way, we can connect the teaching-based high-quality reading and graduation paper writing-based high-quality knowledge production. So in this process, we propose to build a future classroom, to build a connected future learning lab, to provide service to high-quality reading and high-quality teaching. We should combine the two. And also, we should develop some software to check whether the students have made use of AI, how much was written by AI. If all the contents in their graduation paper was written by AI, that is also not very nice either. This is the second aspect. The third aspect is that we should learn from the masters in building a future learning center to realize high-quality reading. So that is what we think about high-quality reading and new quality knowledge production. That is all for my presentation. I think that we should build a regionally balanced environment that take into account the differences between different regions. Thank you.
Thanks to Professor Huang.
非常感谢黄教授。
Vision, especially from different location, different space, different output, and high and low, everything. I think you should take a leader as the negotiator or price consultant of CNKI to see how to make it a good price. Okay. Let's thank Professor Huang again, and also, he gave us a lot of new ideas, especially for a future learning lab. I think if Professor Wu talk about the library is the heart of the university, but Professor Huang give us the reading is the heart of the universal library, and we should use the library knowledge to transfer to solve problem. Okay, thank you again. Yeah. Next speaker is Benjamin Manuna. He's a university librarian of Chinese University of Hong Kong. His topic is role of the library in facilitating the transition to the open scholarship culture. Unfortunately, he cannot come here in personally. He will give a talk online. So can you help to switch to the WeChat? So, Benjamin, hello?
Yes.
Can
Hello.
you hear me? Yeah.
Hello, thank you, Director Lee.
Nice to meet you again. We met 2 weeks ago in Shanghai. Yeah.
Indeed, yes.
Okay, so I will give the time for you and give the audience the full of your energy on the topic, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Director Lee. Thank you to the organisers of the Forum on the Future of World Academic Libraries, and welcome to this presentation about the pivotal role of libraries in advancing open scholarship and open science. In this talk, we will explore the contributions of libraries in different areas of open scholarship and open science. We'll discuss how libraries can shape the future of open scholarship and open science. It's a great honor to be invited on this excellent program, and very humbling to be following Dr. Wu and Professor Huang. And I regret that I'm unable to join you due to a conference which we're hosting here at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Let me start with a brief definition of what I mean when I'm talking about open scholarship and open science. And I'm drawing from the UNESCO recommendation on open science and these 3 principles which UNESCO utilizes around collaboration and sharing information for public good, around adopting transparent and inclusive processes for research, and around making knowledge available for everyone. And the specific areas of open science which I'll be touching on today drawing on the experience of the Chinese University of Hong Kong, or CUHK library, are around open access, around open research data, around citizen science and engaging members of the communities outside of the universities in the work that we undertake in the university, around dissemination of science in languages other than English, and also talking about purpose-driven sharing. So what is the reason for open science? Why are we looking to engage in open science? And it relates back to the point that many of us exist as universities or research institutes, which is to benefit science and society. And that is one of the facets which I will explore in my talk today. So if I may start with a brief outline of the discussion which I'll be presenting, I'll start off by explaining the role of the library working in partnership with our researchers. And in that respect, I will relate to two examples which CUHK Library has been involved in around open access and research data management. I'll talk about the second role, which I perceive as being around inspiring our university community to engage in open science practices. And in that respect, I'll talk about our university library strategy and about some pilot projects to experiment with new ways of engaging in science. And thirdly, I'll talk about this third role of the library around embedding the culture of open science and supporting our researchers to do the right thing by establishing clear policy and the library hosting a range of services that will support good practice in open science. So starting off on the first example, this is a role which many of us are familiar with within our libraries, which is an enabling role. So working in partnership with our university communities to enable researchers to operate in good practice of open science. And the first role where we're enabling our researchers to operate through open science is via open access. And CUHK Library launched the CUHK Open Access Publishing Plan in 2021, when we had 2 publishers signed up to the plan. And we're delighted now that in 2024, we have 22 publishers and over 7,000 journals who are covered under the open access publishing plan for the university. A lot of the work, I mean, it would not have been possible without the collaboration with JULAC, the university libraries in Hong Kong. And I know that you've heard from it's Flora Ng from the University of Hong Kong, who chairs Consortial, our collaborative consortium to negotiate these agreements, and as well as negotiating with publishers to enhance and enlarge the range of outlets through which our researchers can publish open access. We also, from the library, provide a lot of training and guidance for faculty to enable our researchers to know that these avenues exist for them to publish open access with journal titles that they know and love, that they trust, and that they can make their research available openly without them having to utilize routes that they may not be familiar with, or that they may be wary of predatory journals. So supporting researchers with open access is one of the ways in which we enable our researchers to engage in open science practices. The second area is around research data management. And CUHK Library, in partnership with academics, launched in 2020 a research data management project, or RDM project. The project is overseen by a committee on research data management, which is chaired by a senior academic who is a member of the research committee, and the university librarian, so myself now, serves as vice chair of that committee. The project itself is embedded within the library. We have a research data librarian. We have a research data team who support the research data librarian. And the project has 3 strands. It's looking at governance and how we operate research data management across the university, infrastructure, and I'll talk a little about this, and services. And the project was due to finish in 2025. It's been extended by a year because of the disruption caused by COVID. And to give you some illustrations of the achievements of the project since it launched, I wanted to highlight 4 areas. The first is, in terms of governance, the Committee for Research Data Management provides an institutional oversight of research data management practice, and that has been very helpful and effective in providing a steer for the development of research data management. And the library supports that with the Research Data Librarian acting as secretary. The second area is around infrastructure, and since the project launched, we have a data management plan service, which the library provides both access to DMP tool online and to a CUHK tailored template for data management plans, and training to enable our researchers and our postgraduate research students to prepare and complete and upload their data management plans. The other piece of infrastructure which the library developed and hosts is our CUHK research data repository. And on the right-hand side of the screen, I've taken a recent illustration of our research data repository to illustrate that with this recent discovery of a new type of dinosaur in South America by one of our researchers, Professor Michael Pittman, the data sets associated with that discovery earlier this year have already had over 1,000 views and 700 downloads. So in terms of visibility of research, it really is making a difference. We've also funded 32 projects across all of the faculties of CUHK over the last 2 years. And we have a network of data champions who are usually early career researchers or postgraduate research students within each faculty who will provide guidance and advice on good practice in research data management. And I've put a link to the URL which describes the Data Champion scheme that we launched in October 2023. So it's in its first year of operation, but it's been a great success. The second role that libraries undertake and that we've undertaken at CUHK Library is around helping our researchers to envisage a future that they might not think possible. So in that respect, I've described this role as a leading role of inspiring our community to think beyond what are the constraints today and to lift their imagination and think of opportunities beyond what they might otherwise not contemplate. In that area, one big part of the leading role is around setting strategy, setting vision and goals. And the library strategic plan for 2021 to 25 includes a strand around research and innovation, which I'll talk a little more later about. But open science also relates to global and alumni engagement, thinking about how can we engage with audiences outside of the university's walls, and also infrastructure. And it relates to the university playing its part in embracing social responsibility and playing a role also in helping to further sustainable development through making available research findings. Developing a little more on the strategic plan. So the second key area of the 5 areas I just described in the CUHK Library strategic plan is research and innovation. And you can see the first objective under our research and innovation key area is to facilitate the transition to an open scholarship culture at CUHK. And that is where I drew the title of my talk from. And this predates me by some years. And it has been something that the library has very visibly taken a leading role in the university community, thinking about how it could further open science within the university. And you can see the other examples, the other themes within the research and innovation topic relate to some strands of open science under the definition of UNESCO that we looked at earlier. So once the strategic ambition has been set, once we've laid out the goals and the future that we want to see, one of the roles that the library can play is to lead the way through initiating or collaborating on pilot projects, trials, experiments to see whether new approaches might be successful. One example which I've been particularly happy to engage with is a collaboration with the CUHK School of Architecture and Professor Francesca Rossini from our School of Architecture, who has been developing a range of urban interventions, creating street furniture to facilitate community building within the tight urban realm of Hong Kong. And you can see the example on the screen was an urban bookshelf that Professor Rossini developed, and the library contributed some advice on the outline design, and also contributed some books, some unaccessioned books that we had. And the scheme has been a real success. You can see a feature from the South China Morning Post, the Hong Kong newspaper, highlighting this initiative. And the books that were made available were there on a swapping basis. So if members of the community wanted to take a book, they were welcome to, and they could put a book of their own if they wanted to share something that they were reading. And we found that out of the 200 books that we started with that were provided by CUHK Library, over 120 were swapped and exchanged. And that's a really interesting way of engaging with the community and providing access to a resource, a community engagement facility that otherwise that street was lacking in opportunities for citizens to socialize and interact. Another set of pilot projects which we're engaged with and very excited about at CUHK Library are exploring new modes of open access. I've got two examples which I'll touch on here. The first is around developing a Chinese language open access monograph pilot, working in partnership with the University of Hong Kong Library and the University of Hong Kong Press, and working with City University of Hong Kong and City University of Hong Kong Library and Press, and of course working with Chinese University of Hong Kong Press to launch 9 research monograph titles in open access. And we are due to launch this as a partnership with the 9 titles available from the middle of next month. So watch this space, and we're really excited to experiment with seeing what the impact is of publishing Chinese language open access monographs from our university presses by reputed researchers here in Hong Kong. The second project where we're piloting new ways of doing things is around establishing a Diamond open access mega journal platform. Many colleagues in the room have probably heard me speak about this in one form or another, but we're looking at, can we develop a platform that is free to read, but also free to publish, so there are no APCs and there are no costs to authors to publish, so that we take away the incentives for predatory journals and we retake ownership of the publishing process within the academy or the university. And we'll be publishing a report on this, a short report, which we've written in partnership with our colleagues at CNKI, who've been engaged in the discussions since the end of last year. And hopefully over the next 10 days, we'll have a free to read, of course, an open access report, which will set out the work that we've been doing, the thinking that we've been doing in CUHK Library, with some reflections also from CNKI. And if I may just talk a little about the motivations for this and why don't we just operate with the existing infrastructure, the existing arrangements with transformative agreements, is that we're not finding that TAs are leading to the transformation that we were promised, and that regions like Europe, where they've embraced gold open access now for 5 years, are not finding that they're getting the results that were hoped for. So maybe we need to take a different approach, and this is what we're looking to experiment with over the coming months. And so the rationale for taking these approaches, for engaging in new ways of open access, is to not only reset the ownership of scholarly communication. So is it the job of third parties, is it the job of commercial partners to manage all of the scholarly communications of the research system in the ways that it has evolved to become? Possibly not. And I think there is still a role, of course, for commercial publishers, but also maybe a greater role for libraries to engage more actively in this space of dissemination, as well as collection and management of resources. We can also draw on examples in Europe of successful pilots. And one of the aims, of course, is to try and manage the total cost of publishing so that we don't find ourselves in this continuous vicious cycle of having to pay over inflationary costs to obtain access to the resources that are produced by our universities. So now let me move to the third function and the third role of the library in relation to open science. And this is around embedding the culture and ensuring that we set open science on firm foundations so that once we've experimented and identified ways forward, we can play a supporting role and facilitate our researchers and our university community doing the right thing. With respect to that supporting role, one important part is around developing policy. It's around making sure that once the appropriate and viable approaches for the university community have been identified, that practice can be embedded and become part of the normal way of doing things rather than being something extra, something additional that people have to do. And policy development is also a fantastic way to open discussion with colleagues who may not be engaged in that facet of the research process in thinking about, could I do more around open access, open science? What would be the benefits for me? And I was very pleased to be asked last month by our Research Publication Ethics Committee at the Chinese University of Hong Kong to start discussion on establishing a CUHK open access policy. A number of our colleagues in Hong Kong already have well-established open access policies, including Hong Kong University, including Hong Kong Baptist University, but at CUHK, we haven't yet got one. So this will be a process probably for the next year that we will engage with the community, with researchers, with our Office of Research and Knowledge Transfer, and develop a policy that is fit for purpose for our university, looking at both open access of publications and whether open data should be part of the same policy. There are implications, of course, beyond publications in terms of enabling and embedding open science practices, one of which relates to reward and recognition. So as well as talking to researchers, we need to talk to our human resources office and to the leadership of the university so that where researchers are engaging in open access or open science practices, that they also are incentivized to do so, or at least not disincentivized to do so by rewards that might detract them from adopting practices that will enable their knowledge to be shared as widely as appropriate. The next facet of the library's role in supporting researchers and embedding open science culture relates to services. And CUHK Library has hosted for a number of years now a range of events and webinars. We held a webinar at the end of last year in collaboration with University College London on open science. We're looking forward to hosting some more webinars in the next academic year with partners both in mainland China and in Europe on open science. And within the university, we host a number of training events and workshops related to open access and open science. In addition to that training program, we also work on through advocacy with faculty, through our faculty liaison librarian network, and provide a range of skills training, both in person and through our LibGuides. And I've put a couple of links here to the main LibGuides that relate to open science and to open educational resources. And we'll also be launching in August, and in 2 months' time, we'll be starting a new role of open science librarian, and we're very much looking forward to our new colleague joining us in the summer to take forwards this broadened agenda for the university library. So if I may conclude, I've outlined 3 roles relating to how the library can facilitate the transition to an open science culture. These are all drawn from experience of the Chinese University of Hong Kong Library, but I think they would probably apply in many institutions. The first is an enabling role, working in partnership with faculty and other units of the university, looking at open access and research data management. The second is a leading role, a leadership role of inspiring the community through setting strategy and also experimenting with different ways and pilot projects to trial new ways of doing things. And then finally, I've outlined the supporting role that the library can play, through setting policy in discussion with relevant stakeholders and providing a range of services. Yes, yeah. Thank you very much for your attention.
Benjamin, yeah. So what is the future of the World Academic Library? Not the forum. I think Benjamin give us one solution, open culture. So especially the powerful, open CRDM, powerful, very powerful, and then more output. We appreciate. And also maybe some of our audience were interested in your open position, the new director. So if any of you interested, maybe write to Benjamin, okay? Let's thank Benjamin again. The next talk is the data empowerment, exploring value-added service with research data. The speaker is also a senior director, more than 30 years, isn't it? Yeah, her name is Wang Chong, the University Librarian of Beijing Normal University. Let's save time to her. Thank you.
尊敬的各位同仁、各位馆长，大家下午好。非常高兴呢，前来参加这个2024年的 WAL 会议。在2023年的时候呢，我曾经就这个我们图书馆的学术成果库呢，跟大家进行了交流。今年呢，也应邀呢，就是就我们学术成果库中的科研数据，在服务学校的管理和教学过程中的一些应用呢，跟大家做一个汇报。
Exploration of value-added services for scientific research data. My presentation is divided into 4 parts: background, IR, exploration of value-added services for scientific research data, and a few thoughts. We know that the development of AI has impacted the different regions and different areas, different departments of our library. Algorithm and data is the core of the AI technology. And data is very important. In December 2022, the CPC Central Committee and the State Council issued an opinion on building a data-based system to better play the role of data elements. The aim is to accelerate the construction of a data-based system, give full play to the advantages of China's massive data. Now, at the university level, with the continuous deepening of the construction of smart campuses, data have rapidly integrated into various fields, such as talent cultivation, scientific research, and management services. In August 2023, Beijing Normal University held its 14th Party Congress. In its report, it was emphasized that there is a need to streamline the mechanism of school affairs data work, build a normalized, three-dimensional and global universities affairs data work system, empower innovation in school governance system, and play an important role as the data brain in our management. So specifically, there are several important measures. First, we create a cultural ecology of a school affairs data system, one chess game. Second, focusing on the macro monitoring, decision-making, performance evaluation of departments, educational evaluation reform, and teaching and research innovation. Specifically, we will expand the empowerment scenarios of school affairs data. And third, we should use rich data visualization to support departmental management and decision-making. And then, in regards to the data, empowering universities' decision-making and management, there are several things that we can do. For example, macro level, medium level, and micro level view. So, for example, for the micro level, we hold the Innovation Team Evaluation Award and key laboratory evaluation, and provide patent information services. At the medium level, we conduct discipline situation analysis and analysis of talent introduction. And at the macro level, we analyze the high-level publications and development trends in the field. Now, when we notice that we have such data needs, based on our experiences starting from 2012, we started to construct our academic results repository. The aim is to create a platform that can store and preserve the academic assets of our university researchers. So we hope that we can realize the deep correlation between academic achievements and the school management data. So starting from 2012, and then in 2019, we started to run this platform in a pilot forum. Up till now, we've already included more than 400,000 items of academic results from 1950, and we have also put more than 7,000 R&D projects in our IR system. In 2019, the management measures for universities' affairs data was issued. To further strengthen the management of school affairs data, establish a unified school affairs data platform, and to become an important information infrastructure for gathering various types of digital management data. And in 2023, our university issued a notice on further strengthening the construction, application, and evaluation of school affairs data. And it officially clarified that the IR is the only authoritative data source for scientific research achievements in our university. Now, as an authoritative data source, we actually connected with the following big data platforms. So, for example, for the university data platforms, we also provided them with relevant data. For example, data including R&D results, data related to the human resources, etc. So we synchronize the different data of different platforms. So, for example, there is connectivity between the school affairs data platform and our academic results repository. And we know that there is a need for more diverse data sources and more refined management and display of data in scientific research evaluation work. We actually further combine the different data from different resources based on the high-quality data from academic achievement-based databases. Our university further gathers the scientific research data and related evaluation data obtained from various channels, and supplementing relevant data as needed. And also, we standardize the development of data processing standards and various types of report templates and provide good data support for scientific research evaluation.
To visualize the platform of the data management, to demonstrate the data regularly, to guarantee the authenticity and the correctness of the data, we, together with the other faculties and other schools, to restructure the platforms of the data in a more dynamic manner. And the journals, also the exit of the journals and the deletion of the journals and indexing of the journals would be upgraded very regularly to guarantee the precision and correctness of the data. So through these platforms, we are empowering the SciTech evaluation service for the university. On one hand, we support the asset management, as I have mentioned before. It has more than 400,000 lines of the asset. And we also support the evaluation for the performance of the personal management of those individual staff. And we would also look at the data summarized for the performance result of the teachers, professors, and staff and faculty members. And then the report will be visualized very authentically on the platform. And in the library, there are 12 top-level first-class disciplines. And then the special and detailed analysis will be summarized into the report and updated very regularly. So for this 2 green circles, one is discipline analysis, second is the sci-tech decision. I will detail on this 2 circle. So case 1 is the panoramic discipline situation analysis. And we will provide the analysis report. Right now, we have 12 top-level disciplines based on this situation and the status of the different disciplines. We would have WS and JCLEC for the engineering and science, and for the humanities and culture and liberal arts, we would have the other line of the standard to indicate those performance. And based on the needs of the different disciplines, so based on the internal evaluation structures, so we will do the internal evaluation based on the output, the topics, subjects, and the consequence or results of the research. To do the comparison based on the number of the publications, citation numbers, to look at the gap of our disciplines versus other top-notch ones. And in 2021, we'll launch these platforms officially. And the second case is the international cooperation and the evaluation of the outputs for the schools. In 2021, the libraries has been trusted by the International Cooperation Department of the university by using different toolkits to demonstrate the situation and outputs of the international cooperation. Based on the publications of the articles and also the output of the articles from the international cooperation, or we are using the indications of the CNCI average influence evaluation tool to evaluate and to assess whether this international cooperation have produced influential outputs. Based on the performance results, we will also recommend the targeted subject and partner to cooperate with for the reference of the universities, which has been highly acknowledged by the Office of International Cooperation of the university. The third case is the evaluation of the sci-tech research papers and selection of the representative achievements. So as a comprehensive university, we are using the existing the indications of the evaluation, but has been out of date. So we are having the updated ones right now, but currently the available support from the policies is yet available. So we have a breaking down of the constraints of the original evaluation indicators. Instead, we are looking at the fundings, whether or not it has won the awards, and the social influence and academic influence, and the demonstration and display of the journals. And we are using the models, and the results are acknowledged by the university. So the overall way of thinking is to break down the original principles of journals as the basis for the evaluation of the output of the academic research. So the subjective evaluation will be eliminated, and we're also looking at the number and the data from the fundings as well. The international citations were based on CNCI number, and China's indicators also be based on China's matrix of the indicators, and we are more reasonably using the data which is more authentic and correct, so that the journals as the basis for the evaluation of the paper would be eliminated step by step. Those better papers would also be awarded as the first class paper But for those published, but the feedback is not that positive, then they will be reclassified into the mediocre plus. The fourth one is the evaluation of and enhancement analysis of the influence of the disciplines or the colleges or the schools. So we have seen the even more demanding requirement of the evaluation for the environment evaluation of the schools and disciplines. So we have to deepen the exploration of the needs of the different disciplines, and we're using the tools like the cyber very early to adopt these evaluation tools. And we have set up the two tiers of the reference systems, both at the global level and national level, to assess the influence, the social influence, and also the participation and the competitiveness of the faculty and the teachers, to coordinate with the collaboration of the research of these disciplines versus the international ones. And also we, based on this, analyze the result to clarify the faculty numbers as well as the institutions involved into the research in these highly influential subjects, and by which we will suggest some advices for the future research. The fifth case is that the contribution analysis by the departments and laboratories. So when it comes to the contribution, the library will mainly evaluate and analyze the contribution proportion by the different departments and the schools based on the very clarified data in the system. And then we will rank them, which can fully demonstrate the participation as well as the contribution number of the different departments to the academic research and academic level literacy by the different department to the whole society, to the whole universities. Also, we are looking at the background of the academic researchers and also the cross-discipline research results, and that can take reference of the intra-university cooperation from the different departments. And this actually will be mainly positive, have mainly positive feedback from the cross-disciplines research. And for example, we also have the outer space aeronautics cross-discipline school, and we mainly look at the contribution by this school to the final academic research results. And the last one is the journal evaluation and international influence enhancement. So from the policies, we can see that it is required the relevant department must publish domestically. So the influence from the domestic ones and international ones are equally important. And we have set up the International Psychological Journal, and we publish this journal, but we have set up the citation figure to look into the background of the citation, the influence of the citation, the source country of the author, and the relation of the source country of influence, as well as the citation, source of the citation. Then to evaluate the key words of the citation and to select and screen the mostly cared topics, and also to compare the different hotspot issues, so that we can identify the future trend and the future directions of research, as well as to develop the index for the top-notch scientists with our references and directions of the assignment of the papers. The last one is the comprehensive assessment of the personal influence of the scholars. This kind of evaluation of the personal scholars' influence has become more and more trendy. So the evaluation of the personal influence would not be only based on the number of the publicated or published articles, but will be put into more zoomed-in details like the social status of the person. In the library, actually, we have to satisfy this need to look at the status coordinates of this person, and then we develop the matrix of the indicators, and then we will also produce the report of this individual scholar. Last, a few points. First of all, we have to intensify the top-level design. Based on the years of the management of the data and the management of the teaching and academic research, we believe the academic research results development is very important, need to be supported by the advanced design and analysis. We must intensify the top-notch level design to accelerate the speed of the research as well as the efficiency enhancement. And second, to the database, we also have to have the strategic arrangement, and especially we have to align the different platforms together, and repositories of all kinds also need to be integrated and consolidated with the teaching platforms. So the participation by the faculty members into the design is very important for the convenience of the alignment of the different platforms or the management of the eco environment at large. So through these interactions and integrations of the different platforms, the data can be further utilized in the maximum level. And we have to also accelerate the technology, the coordination and communication. We must, through the communication, know the needs and the demands of the different individuals from different disciplines and also the platforms. Because right now we are cooperating with the CNKI to complete the open access platforms. And the fourth one is to activate the diverse applications. We have the discipline management, which requires more individualized and personal functions development, and also the functions need to be activated as much as possible. And we must make the policy implementation more accurate and based on the needs of the different individuals and the parties to optimize the methods of the implementation of the policies. And right now, with the dominant trend of the GNAI, we must keep sensitive to the technologies through the exploration of the GNAI technology to realize the technology-empowered analysis of the data. For example, the features of the research dominated private LLM or the small LLM can complete the soundness of the research, and through the intelligent analysis and precise decision-making, the data could truly empower the added value of research. And the data can truly empower the value-added service. And this data service, based on the GenAI technologies, can maximize the functions and use of the libraries. Thank you.
Thanks, Chong. Oh, really? Okay. I try to. I wish you can save time, but I'm very, very happy we can share your experience on the IR. You know, IR in the university, we will find that we are useful. We are very important in the university. So thanks for your 7 cases experience to share with us. Okay, let's thanks to Chong again. I don't want to conclude too much time on this session. The session is over, and I would like to transfer the chair to the next session. The chair is Qin Xiaoyan, and maybe you need to have your breakfast personally by yourself. So no break. Okay, thank you.
Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am from the library of Beihang University, and it's my great honor to host for this session with the theme of building libraries' capacity for the future. We've invited 4 renowned experts from 4 countries, USA, Singapore, Australia, and China, to deliver keynote speeches. Now, first speaker, let's warmly welcome Mr. Wang Xuemao from Northwestern University Library. Mr. Wang has over 30 years of diverse experience in library and information technology, services, management, and leadership. He has held global leadership positions in IFLA, ALA, CRL, ARL, SPARC, OCLC, and Ohio Link. Mr. Wang will deliver a keynote speech artificial intelligence, machine learning as a key pillar of the library strategy future. Please welcome Director Wang Xuemao.
Thank you, Director Qin, for the introduction. I am going to deliver my talks in English, but may insert some of the Chinese for the clarity and the explanation. So I'm from the Northwestern University in Chicago, not in Xi'an. So that's the important part, and to clarify. Today, I'm going to talking about a little bit about macro level of the AI planning thoughts in the mostly North American library community for the what we call the scenarios planning. That's the macro level. I will also talk about what I have been thinking and thought about some of the planning centered with the AI in the Northwestern University, and what we have been doing in terms of the align the organizational culture, structure, resource, and some of the pilot project as well. Little bit about Northwestern University, and I was joking, it is in Chicago, is one of the top research university in the US, and in the last year, our research funding is heavy, very top research university. Our research funding last year first passed the $1 billion US dollar, the 10亿美金的 expenditure. This is a very significant milestone for the university because not many research university, even in the US scope, have the $1 billion of the fundings. And the university itself, because of the heavy research culture, we have more graduate students than the undergraduate students. 4 years, each year we admit about 1,000 of the undergraduate students, but we have total of the 14,000 of the graduate students. And it's a very selective university. If you want to get into the Northwestern University and your application is in the par of the Harvard, Princeton, is the selectively is the 7% of the admission rate. As I mentioned, it's a top university. Some of the subjects and schools are ranking very high. Our business school is number 2 in the North American, and so on and so forth. It's a very selective university. About libraries, the Northwestern University Library is one of the large research library, and we have about 8.2 million volumes total, and we have been the AR members for very long, since 1932. Let me tell you this small story about the power of the library special collection and archive, and also about the relationship between my university libraries and China. On the screen now, you see this lady, young lady here. Her name is Margaret Niu. She is the granddaughter of a very famous early 20s Chinese women leader named Liu Wang Liming. 她本名叫王立敏，后来她冠了她丈夫。
Actually, her surname is Wang, but her husband's surname is Liu. That's why she's called Liu Wang Liming. She is a very famous leader of a feminist movement. Actually, she died in prison. And after that, China actually
No, her English name, only knows she started in the Northwestern University. So she come to our archive looking for her grandmother until she see this annual book about her grandmother's photo. She suddenly realized that's my grandmother. So that's the power of our university archive. and our collection with the China as well. Move on. Since I joined the Northwestern University, I have been working with my organization to set some of the strategic directions, and we are calling University Library to become what I call the creative, intellectual, and creative nexus. Nexus can be translated to Chinese like the 交汇点、连接点、关键点. Right? We want the University Library are, in many of the presentation already done before me, enable the innovative learning, research, scholarship, and the creativity. We call up 3 strategic pillars for our pursuing about this bold vision. And first one, which I'm going to talk more today, is about transforming digital research method. The second one is more traditionally advanced access and scholarship resource. The third one is about library experience. This is more about the space and other library experience transformation. Now let's move to the first one, transforming research method, what we're talking about. In this the conference, one of the themes is about the artificial intelligence and its implication for the librarianship. So I want to inform you, and in the North America recently, very recently, just 1 month ago, I organized the program in the annual meeting of the ARL, and we have done, ARL and another organization called the CNI, we have put together a task force in the North America. When I say North America, I refer to US and Canada. And we have put together a task force under this association, 2 associations. We are trying to create what we call the scenarios planning. Scenarios planning translated to the Chinese is 场景规划, 场景规划. It's not the projection. It's about the 场景, future. What could be under the AI influence, what the library macro level, information industry macro level could looks like in the 10 years. We call it 2035 AI scenarios planning. We have come out of the 4 directions. I don't have a lot of time today to explain to you in the detail. You can Google this out on the website. There's about 35 pages of the long report. But basically, it's driven by 2 factors: societal adoption of the AI and the intentionality about the AI design and process. Driven by these 2x2 factors, high, low, and we come up with 4 scenarios about the future of the AI impact. If you're looking about adoption of the society is very high, intentional design is very high, this area we call the democratizing AI is most ideally scenario. Opposite, this no intentionality and no societal adoption is very much not ideally scenario situation. We call it divisive AI. So you can look at the report. There's a lot of the example about under each of the scenario, what the library needs to be prepared for the next 10 years, what the leaders' thoughts, thinking needs to be prepared for the next 10 years. In thinking about such scenario planning, I've been thinking about what we do in the Northwestern under this of the long-term planning. I have been adopting some of the industry approach, what is called the go all in. Translated to Chinese, something like the 全方位 the approach about the AI planning. Over the previous presentation from the Tsinghua University Director Jing, Macau University Director Wu, you heard a lot of the thoughts about this. We all start on the same level. Director Wu mentioned we all start on the same level. AI is precisely give that opportunity to us, right? Regardless whether you're large research library like Northwestern, or use small library in somewhere in the rural area of the China. With the AI technology, you can start at the same starting point to compete for the future. Another thing I've been thinking about is the fundamentally rethinking. I call fundamentally rethinking about the way human and the machine to interact. AI will provide us such opportunity, right? You heard from the Director Jing from Tsinghua University as the last slides, some of the very thoughtful questions about our value proposition, about the potential of the marginalized of our value, about the future of the thinking, about the library's role in the academia. All of those thinking are very much connecting to rethinking under the AI, how we interact with the machines and the AI systems. Another thing I've been thinking about is the systematic development of the AI for all core functions. Next slide, I'm going to explain what that means, right? Systematically assessment of the AI, including a clearly defined overarching objective to serve as the building principle to drive the direction of the AI. This is almost like the what we call the anatomy approach. Anatomy approach is 解剖式的 approach. Thinking about your library business workflow, right? Where is the AI can go first, second, and third to transform your workflow. Over the lunch, I've been have a conversation with several of the directors, and many of you heard it from the previous presentation. The way people are thinking now in the areas are primarily perhaps three major areas. Search, discovery, that's the one areas. In terms of the, instead of only typing in the search term, now we can have the conversation with large language model. Second part is about metadata automation, right? We have a lot of the catalog here, 编目工作人员 here. You are already somewhat automated your process, but imagine in the future, I have the example to show you what the Northwestern is exploring about total automation of the metadata generation, right? So those are the areas we are thinking about to advance the AI planning thoughts. So in the Northwestern, what we have been focused on is this pillar of the approach. Fundamentally, library resource is our collection, but we are going to innovate those connections in a very different way in the AI areas and focus on what I call the 4 Cs. The 4 Cs stand for culture, consultation, collaboration, and catalyst. Culture, consultation, collaboration, some of this we are already practice in many ways. Whether we organize the event, we organize the seminar, we teach Python, we have the research data management, all of this, many of the library, including around the globe, already in the practice. What I want to emphasize a little bit more is about the catalyst approach. The catalyst approach is really put the librarian into the partnership role with the teaching research faculty. We are thinking about large research team embedded with the librarian and play their information expertise of the join the research, right, to transform the research in the new way. All right, so I did some of the reorganization under these thoughts. I put together a new organization is with the new name, and not many of the North American library has named this department. I call the Academic Innovation Department. It's not IT department, neither digital humanities, nor the digital scholarship, nor the research data management. I emphasize that catalyst function about academic engagement. But practically, is many of the digitally oriented team are putting together under this function. 5 minutes. What do we do actually on the ground for the exploration? So first, we try to elevate our research data management to the new level. If you look at this chart, you are quite familiar with this level of the service. Many of us already done that with IRL, Institutional Repository, Research Data Management. We are basically organized data and the curation of the data. This is what our current stage. What I like to see we take this to the future is the further stage about data sculpting. This is where you manipulate the data. Once you manipulate data, you pre-train the data in the large language model, and you create the code pipeline and put it into the notebook. So research does not have to repeat this process. In many ways, can reuse what the library have done. Of course, you need to build the data discovery interface, user interface, to retrieve and reuse those data pipeline, coding, and models. This is what we have been thinking. It's very early thinking. If you ask me, do we have the idea how to figure out this yet? No. We are thinking about elevate this research data management to the future directions. Now I'm going to share with you two small examples about what we have been doing in terms of the discovery layer of the apply the language model, and also metadata generation apply the language model. So you heard many of the previous presentation, and you will hear more about from our vendors, 厂商. They are working very hard. Elsevier, Wiley, and any of those larger vendors, Ex Libris, they are all very much invested heavily on the AI development. They will come out much powerful, large language model applied large data sets of the scientific scholarly journals. That's not what I want to spend my money on, right? What I want to spend the money and the resource on in the Northwestern is about our special connection. None of the vendor will be able to come to Macau University, Tsinghua University, Northwestern University to really working on our special connection. That's where we need to focus on. Currently, our special connection is connecting to our OMA, Primo system. We can get the basically search function going. That's not enough in the large language model. We want to have a conversation about our special connection. This is the example in the Northwestern library we have been developing. This is the video. I hope it's going to play. Basically, when you do the search, you can choose the language model, and down here is our connection, show you the connection. You're asking the conversational question about show me what kind of the Italian soldiers picture can be found in your photograph collection in the Northwestern libraries. It's not going very fast. So, and basically, when the result come back, it's going to show you the connection about the, hold on. Yeah, this does not work very well. But the point is, those picture here, you search that, it's come back, it's not showing the picture here, it's gonna be, whoops. It's not going to work for some reason. I did not test that. But you can also search those connections in the multilingual language. We are testing a couple of the language, including Chinese here. But the concept is you have the conversation about your search. Here we go. Let's show up now. You have a conversation about your connection. You are not only just searching the term in the connection, right? So the last example I want to share with you is about the metadata generation, right? On the picture here is one of our special connection picture. I don't know what's happening. The picture went to the blurring. And it's one of our African collection study. Instead of having the cataloger, metadata specialist to go over there to recognize every metadata and type into the computer system. We have been working with the large language model, with the OCR technology. We are able to automatically, on this side here, automatically generate the metadata connections. So those are the experimental stuff where we are applying a larger grant from the IRMS, try to spread this practice with other partners. Now I have 5 seconds. I just want to conclude. I'm glad to share with you with this, and so glad to come here so many people. Last year I was able only to join this conference online. So thank you for the invitation.
Thanks for Director Wang's wonderful presentation. As we know, artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies are rapidly becoming key pillars for the future strategy of libraries. These technologies can enhance various functions and services of libraries, better meeting users' needs and improving operational efficiency. Mr. Wang's presentation has provided us with a deeper understanding. Thanks, Director Wang, again. Next speaker, let's welcome Ms. Caroline, Director of Nanyang Technological University Library. Ms. Caroline has over 25 years of experience in the library field and is a broad member of the International Association of University Libraries. She has received the Professional Service Award from the Library Association of Singapore, the Public Administration Mentor, and the National Day Award. Her keynote today is Future States of Library Being. Please welcome Director Feng Shuling.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I would just like to have a little bit of fun. Okay, not so much about what my library is doing, but a little look into the future. So this is my outline, okay, and introduction of myself, okay, and I'm a university librarian at Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, relatively young university librarian, less than 5 years there. Okay, but it's been. But before that, I was the director of the Medical Library and Heritage Center, also in NTU. So in NTU, I've worked more than 10 years, and before that, I was a business librarian at the Taroto Library in INSEAD. Okay. All right, just a little bit about Singapore. We have about 6 million people. We are a city-state. Most of us speak English and a mother tongue. Okay, and we are 77% Chinese, about 12% Malay, and about 8% Indians. Okay, and our largest religion group is Buddhism. Yeah. Okay, and 5 things you like to know about Singapore. We have good quality of life. We have really nice food, and thank you so much for being here, for me being here, because I really enjoyed the food so far in Beijing as well. We are a safe country. We have diversity, as you have seen the population makeup, and we are a clean city, right? Okay. NTU, okay, I don't want to show you too much facts and figures. You can get all of that at the website. But I must tell you that NTU is a beautiful campus. Many of you who come to NTU, you would go to visit the libraries or you would sit in the meeting room for meetings, but next time, ask for a little bit of time to walk around NTU. You see the waterfall there? That's in the NTU park, garden, and it's beautiful. This is shot by me, and I'm not a very good photographer, but look at it. You can go there, and it's a nice waterfall. Okay, in NTU, we've got about 7 libraries, okay, and total square foot about 14,847 square meters. Okay, so that's so much I will tell you about NTU. Oh yeah, one more slide about NTU. We are in the QS rankings, top 50, number 15. We are number 1 in the Young University university rankings, and in terms of subject, we are quite well known for our library and information management, okay, which I actually took my master's there. Yeah. All right, I would like to now show you a little bit about NTU Library. Okay, and this is one of the new spaces that we have included. It's called Huga. It's actually a Danish word for happiness, well-being. We couldn't find a local word to express this space, and therefore we thought, oh, Huga is interesting to students, and it's something that's different from the normal, right? So, and it's a different kind of space. It's a well-being space. And it was supposed to be staff office, but all of us decided it should be a well-being space in the library, which is a new concept. So at the moment, Huga features the concept fascinature. So fascinature combines the elements of soft fascination and nature, and this helps rejuvenate your mental state. So this is actually psychology. It's based on science and research, okay? And what it looks like is this. You see Huga, and behind it is, you cannot see from the beginning, from front. You must go into that little door, and then you experience Huga. It's a 4-sensory place. Okay, so other than your 5 senses, what is the one sense that we have in there? It's actually scent. We curated a blend of smell, and we actually installed sensors, and when you walk in throughout the spaces, you can have a sense of smell as well, and that relaxes people. It's very surprising, but it's very interesting. And the latest installation we have is in front of Huga. We decided we'll do a glamping area, and our students love this. And we bought a boat and we set up this, and immediately it's very Instagrammable, which a lot of students like. So. And I also model it there, myself in the tent. It's very fun. All of us become like children again, and it really relaxes us. And it's surprising to find a space like that in the library, because if we have space like that, we will normally put study tables, But so to curate experiences for students is something new for the library as well. Okay, and people have been asking me, how do I use my budget to buy a boat and tents? So we have to get creative with your finance department to say that, oh, this is part of library furniture. Okay, so that's what we did, yeah? But Huga has been voted by the students to be a most memorable place for them in NTU, in their experience, yeah? Okay, and, okay, sorry. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce to you our robot librarian, Tammy. I have a short video. If you can play the video, please. Yeah. Okay, he's doing that. Okay.
Welcome to the library. My name is Tammy, and I will be your tour guide for today. The short shelf near the windows is our textile shelf, which contains various samples of textiles that students can use when coming up with their product designs.
Hey Tammy, can you bring me to the reserved books?
Please follow me. The reserves are on your right.
Hey Tammy, how can I book the cinema room?
Hi, I'm Samantha, an NTU librarian. How may I help you?
Hey Tammy, tell me a joke.
What is a robot's favorite type of music? Heavy metal.
We bought one Tammy 2 years ago, and it was because we needed a remote control way to check whether people were wearing masks. And after that, we decided, oh, Tammy can be more, and it helped us transform library operations, because now we have unmanned libraries manned by the robots. And we did this test case, okay, and And it was so successful that we got money this year to buy 2 more Tammys, and we turned 2 more libraries into the DIY library, what we call do-it-yourself library, unmanned libraries. And it's NTU's aspiration to let our students, experience robots, AR, VR, MR technology before they leave the university in some form or way, not in your gaming way, but in teaching and learning and in a meaningful way. So the robot was actually programmed by the librarians ourselves. We didn't really have this skill, and we took up the excitement and passion to say, okay, let's try and program Tammy. And for this, the staff actually gained a lot of knowledge as well. Now I'll talk about my presentation. I think there have been some previous presentations that talk about the wave of libraries, the age of libraries, and this is also what we think. This is what I want to present. We are now entering the 4th age of libraries. It can be described this way. So from Jean Tan, who is our Chief Innovation Officer in our National Library Board, Singapore. So the first age is about acquisitions of big and unique collections, right? All of us remember this, buy, and then, we own the collections, right? The second age is about providing access, and all this is driven by technology. And I would think that we are in the 3rd age, which is the current age now, of creation, empowering our users to co-develop content and products. And the 4th age is, of course, about generative libraries, not only generating new knowledge or new ways of looking and thinking, but also generating new connections and opportunities. So we think that this should be our 4th age, entering the 4th age now. And I'll continue on this theme to think about what are the trends now that will affect this 4th age of libraries. The first trend, I think, would be wearables. Look at yourself now. We are now, phone, watch, and the future ecosystem, as you can see now, will become 4 quadrants of the library. All of us would love to have technology on us, among us, and this will be the wave of the future. And this is because the future of wearable technology, is I think there's something wrong in this slide. But anyway, the first trend is that it will become more, it will become, so the first trend here, which is not showing very well, is that wearables, will be more like jewelry. They become less visible. They are like jewelry and clothing. If you look now, your watch is a smartwatch. There'll be payment rings. There'll be goggles or spectacles. This shiny black is actually by Ray-Ban. It's actually augmented. It looks just like any shades, right? And then, of course, GPS, and of course, smart clothing. So we are this is going to drive how users access information or process information. And as this becomes more and more common, our users will also think about, if I go to the library, how can I use this? How can I use my devices, to access library resources? This will drive user behavior. Second trend, digital twin. What is a digital twin? Sometimes you hear about this, a digital twin, and it's already in a lot of the manufacturing, industry is already using this. So simply defined, a physical twin is that you must have a physical entity in real space. And you must have a digital twin in software form. So this software form can also be your VR, MR, your whatever version of the digital twin. And what makes it very special is that there's data that link between the physical and the digital twin. And there's information. So it's used in many cases now, to collect data. What is significant about this digital twin is that it goes beyond what you think would be a simulation. Is it a virtual version? Not really. Actually, digital twins is not going to exist throughout the life cycle. And what it does is that it actually becomes more real. You can collect data from this digital twin, you know, and as if like it's the physical one. You can actually, you know, look into, you can keep this model, right? And then you can do your scenario planning even. You can do many things with it because it's like the real thing in the digital form. Okay, it could be your 3D models and all that. Okay, so this is very different, and this is something like, you know, what we'll think about. It's not your virtual library. So what I have next is, I found this publication about the virtual library in the form of a digital twin. Many of us have online services, and we have some kind of simulation of online libraries, okay? But what if we were to build a digital twin of our library? Okay, what is different about the digital twin is that users can move back and forth in real life and online. Okay, so this team, okay, did some research, okay, and they reconstructed exactly from the blueprints, okay, of this library of Limassol municipality, you know, and of the Pilveskis mansion. So if you, actually, the one with the blue sky is the real one, it's the real photo. The one here in the gray sky is the digital twin. See, it's very similar, right? And what else they did was this. They built 5 case scenarios in the digital twin. Okay, this is what we do, right? Library tour, book lending, attending and organizing seminars and conferences, okay, book virtual meeting rooms, and also talk to someone or have a meeting, you know, like with a specialized mentor. So what they did was simulate all this, okay, and in the digital twin, as if like it's what you would do here in your real library, okay, and their results is that, you know, I think I will not go too much into this article. It's good to read about it, but what they've created is basically a metaverse, okay, not the brand metaverse, okay, but what it is a metaverse. So a metaverse is a bridge between the virtual and the real world, and users will seamlessly interact with both. Okay, how many of us here remember Second Life? Right, long time ago there was Second Life, right? And it failed, right? Now it's gone, no more Second Life. Why? What's the difference between this and Second Life? This looks a bit like Second Life. The main difference is this: Second Life existed only in the virtual world. You had to create your own avatar, you go into the world, when you come out, there's no connection. But a digital twin gives you that connection, that you can go in and out, and it's that same experience. So it's a lot of research is being done on this. It's quite interesting. If you use the search term digital twin library, you can see some emerging research which is, you know, that can point a little bit to what our, you know, other than bringing services online, what should we do? Should we create digital twins as well? Okay, and it's, when wearables become very common, it's also the same thing, right? We can interact with the online world and the virtual world like that. All right, and a lot has been talked about AI. Okay, and before I forget, what they wanted to measure was also the social interaction, which is very important because you've heard throughout the presentations before that libraries play a social role, right? There's cultural exhibitions, you know, there's art, and people like to be together. There's no space that is unused but turned into user spaces. So there's a very social aspect of libraries that we forget. So in this digital twin, they also wanted to measure the social interaction. Okay? And they concluded that more research needs to be done because this is really very new. Right? Okay, and I want to talk a little bit about AI. Okay, so there's this term you hear. Previously, it was ubiquitous computing. Now people talk about ubiquitous AI. Okay, so and AI can be sort of classified into 3 broad types. Okay, one is what you call the narrow or artificial AI, which is called ANI. And these are AI tools or applications that are very specific in just one function. Okay, and that actually is your ChatGPT. If you think about it, it can only do 1 or 2 things. Okay, there might be some people who say that, no, ChatGPT could be a AGI, your artificial general intelligence, because it can do more than 1 thing. Okay, so It could be, it's going that way. And at the end of that would be your ASI. What is that? That is your artificial super intelligence. And that is science fiction at the moment. We are very far from that, okay? But as you know, science fiction tends to become a bit of reality. So ASI is AI that can do many, many things, okay? And that's how the way the trajectory is at the moment. So at this point, okay, I heard some talk about death of the librarian, the invisible librarian, but actually the question we should ask ourselves is this, okay, in the age of ubiquitous AI, what does it mean to be human, right? All of us wonder this, you know, it's like, so the machines can do so many things already, right? What does it mean to be human? So this is a very interesting article. Okay, actually try and identify 10 qualities, okay, that are 20 human attributes. Okay, 10 that only AI can do and 10 that only human can do. They call this the AI effect. Okay, so I will not go through the 10, but I'll share with you 3 of the attributes. Okay, so what we share or have in common with AI is remembering things, sensing temperatures, okay, and also using logic. Okay, that we can all do together with AI. But they're saying that AI at the moment cannot be spiritual, cannot feel happiness, and cannot feel love, which is something that only humans can do. So they identified 10 attributes that only humans can do at the moment. Okay, so it's quite interesting, but I think this is in line with what we are all thinking about, you know, for the future. Okay, what does it mean to live in an AI world? Okay, I would say that, yeah, what would it be to be human? Okay, and that will bring me to the last section of my my presentation. You know, we talk about how we can evolve as librarians. This is a website that I've been following for maybe 10 years. Every time they refresh it, I'll go and take a look because it describes very interesting jobs. Okay, for example, okay, they talk about, okay, so they identify 100 jobs into 19 areas of work, and you can see some of the description under technology. There's something called what they think will be a future job, okay, a chief digital augmentation officer. So what this person does is that they select AI technology and other technological solutions, okay, for organizations. Okay, and there's also something called the shadow tech manager. It's a person who actually looks at technologies that should not be used in the organization. So they think these are future jobs. What are the other future jobs? This is quite close to being a librarian, a fusionist. So a fusionist will use design approaches to bring together professionals from art, engineering, research. Sounds like us, right? Doing a lot of interdisciplinary work to bring people together. And what they bring people together for is to solve complex problems. Okay, so we could be a fusionist in the future. Okay, and we have something called the analog experience guide. As we get more infused with technology, there will be a job next time, they think, where you teach people how to unhook from technology to be analog. Okay, and that's they think it's a possible future job for the a possible future job. Okay, and in conclusion, so what we have to think about for our library's development now is how digital and how analog do we really want to be, right? And when we do, and how do we, when we're hiring librarians and non-librarians, how would that impact our library? You know, and also the kind of metrics that we use to report. If it's just very stats-based and everything, I think we cannot we cannot continue with this. We have been looking at now what we call impact metrics and also the impact narrative in order to show the value of the library. Okay, we're doing a bit of research into that. Okay, so that's my presentation today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Director Feng. I believe all of our library colleagues feel that with the continuous advancement of technology and changes in user needs, libraries are likely to undergo significant evolutions in the future. Caroline's presentation makes us feel that these changes bring more opportunities for development, which we need to seize and adapt to in a timely manner. Thanks, Director Feng, again. Next speaker, we are honored to invite Ms. Roxanne Missingham. She is the Director and the Chief Scholarly Information Officer at the Australian National University Library, with a long career focused on the development of digital delivery and digital services. She is currently responsible for the library, archives, publishing, records, privacy, copyright, and digital research. Ms. Missingham will deliver an online keynote speech. Please welcome Director Missingham.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. I'm very sorry I can't be there in person, but I'm delighted to be able to be a part of this wonderful event. Today I'm going to talk about the new roles of collections in supporting research in a very complex and changing environment. I know we are all passionate collectors, but I know we are all absolutely dynamically changing everything that we can each day. So I'd like to start by wishing you Yuma Darawa Ngunnawal. I'm speaking to you today from the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and I would like to pay my respects to elders past and present and recognise any Indigenous people who are in the audience. So our collections. We've been the custodians of collections that we have built over hundreds and thousands of years, and those are at the heart of the research that happens in our university. We've very carefully collected print, we've moved to digital, we've delivered them through new ways, through federated search services, but there are now winds of change that mean that we really need to rethink how we both are custodians of our collection and also are enabling access and changing our vision of what a collection is. Today I'm going to take you through some examples that give some insights into the ways academics are thinking of our collection in new ways. I want to talk about some of the challenges of artificial intelligence, new forms of discovery, how we're really starting to think about expanding access to our collection in quite granular ways, and also to talk about how this whole vision of the collection that is changing aligns to the research cycle of our academic community. So to start off, I wanted to recognise that many people, many hands have created our collections, and for the large part, our collection has been co-created with academics. We've sought to understand what their needs are, to build the collection and to make that a piece of infrastructure that is of value to all academics and researchers, whether they be PhD students, whether they be undergraduate students, or whether they be high-level researchers. In doing that, it takes a lot to really unpack the value of our collection in the research space. We've had to build new skills to collect in an environment where data, where online publications, where preprints are part of the day-to-day information ecosystem that our academics are operating in, not just the translated books and print to the digital environment and the print environment, but it's taken a vision and a set of new skills to actually make that transition. In terms of our collection, as I said, it's now very diverse. The borders that we've had around print or print-like material have become remarkably thin, and the value that we have brought to our universities in description, in metadata, in thinking through issues about visibility, in thinking through aligning that to research needs, is something that is not just important in how we reshape our collection, but also the value that we give to academics in the way they are seeing their collection. One of the things I think academic libraries have also been doing that is quite remarkable is engaging with their community to try and unpack how differently we operate. So we have implemented institutional repositories that have served the new community producing non-traditional research outputs like creative works, as well as traditional materials. So creative works often sat aside from our collections and were looked after by the academics themselves, but we've actually engaged and brought that in. So that engagement that we have had each day with the university enables us to re-understand what is a collection, what is research infrastructure, and means that we can harness resources to bring them into our collection, and also to understand how we are going to grow our people. And part of that in this new environment is to actually think about how we extend beyond our boundaries. Universities are very keen to be able to deliver the research outputs from their university to the broader community. Libraries have traditionally had the print and the print equivalents in digital, and our new roles, particularly with AI, offer great challenges. In terms of the way our academics see our collections, for many years the humanities and social science researchers have talked about library collections as being their digital laboratories. So while the scientist has a physical laboratory or may well have a digital environment when we think of it, astrophysicists, the actual collections that we hold have become that lab that brings material together for them to come to the desktop, their virtual desktop or the actual library, to be able to access those materials. This has meant that we need to think of that particular digital lab as a new way of bringing together resources and a new way of providing an environment that enables our academics as well to work with our collections in new and different ways. I think Malteverne, while he's not a library and information science professional, has really captured the change that we've seen in our digital environment that has expanded the concept of digital humanities. He talks about a first level where digitisation was just conversion of analogue to digital, where we had, let's say, a journal article or a book, and we created a PDF of that, so it was a facsimile. Then we evolved to thinking about digitisation as a process. So for many of us, the works were made available in a format that could be used in a new and different way. So for archives, we may have converted it into data that is stored in GitHub and accessible to our humanities scholars. For science, we may well have unpacked material in the collection through adding metadata that enables a much richer use, and also through storing and making accessible individual elements of research data, not just a publication type object. But what Malteverne suggests is that we really should now be in a period where we're actually looking at transformation. So what we're doing is should be thinking about is creating a research structure that actually brings many collections to the researcher and brings, if you like, a cybernetic viewpoint where we bring people and processes and content together in a new and different way. So what does this mean from a researcher's perspective? Well, for us, I think, in common with other universities, we are seeing that academics, researchers, now actually want access to the data that is from our subscriptions and from our collections. So where a couple of years ago we would have talked about data and text mining, and academics wanting to obtain sets of data for us to negotiate for that with publishers to enable XML or other formats of data to be available for processing. They are now talking about how can we supply them with data that they can take the learnings from to put into large language models. So it's no longer a data to data or data to database, but it's actually the creation of new knowledge through learning around existing published literature and unpublished literature. This is quite challenging for us, and it's equally challenging for publishers. When we look at our contracts, when we look at the sort of things that publishers have known that they had rights for in the past, we're seeing a new field of communication and partnership to try and find ways to bring data together in a sustainable way. We're also seeing a revisioning of how the value that libraries bring to a university can be brought to the desktop of each academic. Just as an example, an Australian research grant was given to a number of academics who have looked at how they can create from a wonderful collection of early modern works that is published around the 12, 13 and 1400s, and to make that into actually a digital desktop, a digital tool for the information that they need. They used the collection, the John Emerson collection, which was acquired by the State Library of Victoria, which had about 5,000 early modern works. Now, when we look at that sort of project as libraries, we think of digitisation as being creating digital objects from the books. But from a researcher's perspective, they want to actually delve down into the objects within the book and treat them individually. So this has not been a project where they have digitised whole books. This has been one that they have looked at particular themes that are important for their research, like marginalia, that is the handwriting that is on the pages of these early books. These early books were handed around from rich families to other families, and there is a wealth of information about the transfer of physical material, the relationships of book owners, that is revealed by doing the analysis of individual parts of the collection in great detail. So they applied metadata. They had a researcher who applied metadata, and this is an example of what a researcher sees as data that is in our collection and the work that is needed to bring that data out. So you can see here, this is a set of metadata around a piece of marginalia that is in one book. They have identified a wide range of fields that are able to help them interpret that particular piece within the book. They describe relationships to other forms of data, the nature of the marginalia. Is it a drawing? Is it a piece of writing? Whose signature was it? What was the relationship to the actual work? And they use that to then be able to identify multiple signatures and relationships within that data so that they can actually track individuals who handled and wrote marginalia in the data. This is a huge job, and you can see that the number of the fields and the degree of analysis that has had to be done for each little element within each book is the work of a vast team of scholars. Now, in libraries, we won't have that sort of eye that says within a book, a wonderful 1200 book, there might be 1,000 entries like this that a scholar would see as significant. We've catalogued at the whole book level. We have applied a great deal of descriptive data to rare books, but we haven't gone to this level of detail, and it's only by working with academics that we can understand the level of detail that is important for them so that they can research the owners of books. they can research the writers of books, they can research the people who interacted with those books. So this is a whole new skill set. This is a whole new vision of what researchers want from our collection. And I think there is quite a challenge for us here to say, well, how do we apply metadata, or how do we apply derivative or processes that will allow us to extract this sort of data in a sustainable way, because clearly doing this for an individual volume is something that is beyond our resources. You can look at these online if you want. So we're seeing then, in summary, that scholars want to extract material from our collections, including our digital collections, and use them in new and different ways. That when they look at our collections and they look at works, they see works in different ways than librarians have traditionally seen works. So they see it as elements of many different diverse components rather than one holistic volume. But now with AI coming well and truly here, there's a question about how we can not just be able to be informed about that and to help our students operate in a complex environment in a way that is ethical, but also to think about how we can apply that to our collection in new and different ways. In a recent study found that the great scholarly community believed AI will develop benefits, but there's a great deal of concern about what the risks are. The risks of bias, the risks of copyright, the risks of not knowing the accuracy of the information that is being provided. And 73% of participants were concerned about this. But we are going on a journey with AI. We have a lot of elements that we need to investigate for each and every product that we're using, but there's a mindset that we have to bring in cooperation with other players in our university to be able to assess the integrity of solutions that not just are being provided to us by vendors, but we will want to implement in order to make our collections visible and effective for research use to fulfil their mission within the university. So I wanted to mention as an example a project that I'm involved in at the Australian National University, where we are led by James Smithies, who was previously at University College London. It's an exploration of large language models using a corpus of knowledge from Hansard's from Australia, New Zealand and the UK. It's adding an Indigenous guidance component as well, and will take us into some new directions. So it will develop a test harness and framework, not for duplicate storage of material, but again, a training database. It will test this framework with tools and services to guide the development of further open source solutions that take collections that we have been looking after and make them available through AI as research infrastructure in a new way. There will be articles, there will be a public website, but for us the opportunity to be engaged with a digital scholar who wishes to be on the cutting edge of transformative research. From his perspective, it is absolutely about unpacking the knowledge and the issues that are within the content, but for us it's an experiment to say how can we actually unpack from within the physical boundaries of our whole item approach to collections a new way of revealing resources for research in any topic, whether it's law, whether it's regional studies, whether it's science. And I think we will see a lot more of these projects, and they are opportunities for researchers and librarians to come together to learn more. So I've tried to describe some visions that are around understanding how researchers see our collections, compare that with the way we have traditionally thought of our collections, and talk about how AI is expanding that. But in terms of expanding that view, we will have to increase our expertise as well. Issues around copyright, privacy, cybersecurity, academic integrity. We will need to be thinking and taking custodianship of our collection, not just as a physical store, but in terms of the release in a way that supports ethical access to our collection. This offers us many challenges. On top of all of that, in order to be able to discover those materials, to be able to use them in a researcher component of the landscape, we actually need to work on environmental issues. We've traditionally had the great leap forward with federated search on top of our catalogue, but now our researchers are wanting to integrate into their desktop lab notebooks, data, other forms of research from outside our universities. So how we engage and reshape this to provide the desktop for the academic researcher is an area where I think we'll be doing a lot more work in the future. For us, an opportunity to experiment was around creating a new Indigenous hub. So like many other libraries, we've got millions of items in our library catalogue, many more items than that in our federated search system. And for an academic who is wishing to find archival material, they struggle to understand that we have a separate catalogue for archives, that we have a separate catalogue for maps, that we have library collections that are often hidden under terminology that they are not going to discover easily. So we, with an academic community through the Indigenous Academic Network at ANU and with an Indigenous project leader, have unpacked our collections to focus on subject-based discovery beyond the traditional LibGuide type approach. So we are aiming through this to make most relevant material together both discipline, but also to actually provide the capabilities for academics to understand the complexity of using archival collections, mapping information, to use material in the open research. So we have how to search, how to understand the fields, how to understand the material that is hidden when academics are seeking a level of detail that we haven't described. And we've been getting a very positive reaction to this. I think we will have more hubs where we will unpack material, and I think that assists the university to have confidence and build the capabilities to search in a massive environment that we are delivering now. One of the challenges of discovery of our collections with the evolution of AI is the work that publishers are now doing to create research desktops, where it's called Research Assistant, whatever it's called. We see Elsevier, we see Springer Nature, we see many of the large publishers aiming to release desktops that will provide access to knowledge that is in the work that they publish, including databases, including preprints in the case of one, including published knowledge, and they are aiming for them to be seamless and very easy to use with deep data and clearly using AI. How can we keep up with that? How can we actually make the totality of the research infrastructure that we provide accessible in a new and different way? We know that AICR2, or RDA and MARC are not compatible with making material available in a way that assists decolonisation and access to Indigenous knowledge. We know that there are new and different expectations from researchers around access to data and deep material that we haven't done before. So this is an area where I think we will find that there are significant competitors. but potentially as well, there are significant opportunities for us to learn and work with our library vendors or our innovators to develop new and different ways to actually create access to knowledge and the reuse of that knowledge. So my final point is that we are in a world where we need to really unpack the research cycle to understand what collection services and what support we can provide to enable access and to enable deep use of our collections along the research cycle. There are many high points where there are intense opportunities to connect with the researchers at the beginning of a project, when they are looking at examples, when they are looking for comparative works, when they are looking for partners in research, all the way through to storage and dissemination, and that panic at the end when they discover they don't have citations for many of the items that are in their publications. So I think we're seeing the opportunity to unpack our collection, to deliver it in new ways, but also to understand when they relate to the need of the academic in their environment, whether it's their lab, whether it's they're sitting in the library, whether it's sitting in a collaborative environment. So some brief thoughts on challenges for the futures. We have a real opportunity to expand our skills and think about how we can make our collections more accessible. That won't be describing all collections to the level of detail that Beyond the Book did, but by working with academics, we can look at fragments and we can look at workflows to create a very rich and diverse environment. In terms of our collections, we can really take the time to think about how applying a new lens and aligning to the research cycle will bring a number of different products beyond the traditional catalogue and federated search. In terms of our engagement with the community, the co-creation of new AI applications based on our content and responsible thinking around AI will really bring the skills that we have, including our custodian skills, to the fore. And finally, this is a time where the only successful solutions will be when we have national and international frameworks, guardrails, we call them in Australia, around AI that we need to be part of the debate on, and where the contributions that we make to access to knowledge broadly reflect not just our university's need, but the value that the university can bring to the national and the international research environment. All this relies on us redefining our roles and expanding our knowledge to tackle a very rich and diverse new environment. So we're on the verge of building a map for the future. This is an Indigenous map of Canberra, where our most heavily used library at the Australian National University sits. One of the reasons I put it up is that it shows that there are many, many elements of knowledge and many factors that are influencing our environment. So I think we have a wonderful challenge for the future. I'm sure there will be many, many more discoveries as we move along the road. And I would like to encourage you to talk to each other at this conference about the challenges and the opportunities. And I wish you the very best. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Missingham, very much. I'm sorry, we should save some time. Finally, let's invite Ms. Huang Ruhua, Deputy Director of Wuhan University Library. Professor Huang is a recipient of the National High-Level Talents Program, a Chu Tian Scholar, and serves as the Chief Expert of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism Research Base, Director of the National Digital Literacy and Skills Training Base, and Vice Chair of the Academic Committee of the Library Society of China. Today, Professor Huang will give her speech, Collection Development in Academic Libraries in the Era of open science. Please welcome Professor Huang Ruhua.
Thanks for this chance introduction. It's my honor to be here to share my thinking about connection development in the area of open science. Because the most audience in this poll are Chinese, so I just speak in Chinese while PPT in English. Okay. Yeah, 我今天跟各位报告。
So the topic for my presentation is the collection development in academic libraries in the era of open science. So I'd like to touch upon 4 perspectives. First of all, why discuss this topic, followed by the user's needs and attitude to collect the open science, and the libraries also based on the user's needs to clarify and sort the resources that is available to develop the future open resources-based libraries. So we have to contribute by our own efforts. So first of all, why we discuss this topic? There are 3 important bullet points. So in the era of open science, first of all, we believe that is the time for the open science. Right now, UNESCO has issued a report that is the Open Science Report. So the first chapter's title is Open Science is right now. So it is the time to embrace the open science. So by the end of last year, UNESCO also issued Open Science Outlook, the status and the trends around the world. It is required to have the participation of all countries to contribute to the future development of the science. So it is requiring the equal participation of all the participants into the open environment. And last year, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy announced 2023 as the year of open science. The results of the research shall be open equally to all the readers. And China also actively participates into this progress. In 2021, for example, we have revised the law of the PRC on science and technology progress. We need to mobilize the sci-tech resources and open for the free flow of the international scientific and technological resources. And we have to sharpen the platforms for international sci-tech cooperation with the different partners and peers. And the second bullet point is universities instead of other alternatives. So why universities? Because right now, among all the open source of the science, universities play the most important role. UNESCO have mentioned that before in 2018 on the report towards 2030. The roles played by university has been emphasized by this report for open science development. UNESCO in 2022 released the memorandum of the implementation of UNESCO recommendation on open science by universities, emphasizing the universities should advance the construction development of the open science infrastructure to play more pivotal role in open science activities. More than 90 U.S. colleges, universities jointly established and promoted the Higher Education Leadership Initiative for Open Scholarship, which is supposed to build a more transparent, inclusive, and trustworthy research ecosystem. The third important bullet point is the collection development. As we all know that the open resource repositories must provide service as its core. So the collection, access, acquisition, collection development section plays a great role on collection development, considering it one of the core functions of libraries. And the fourth reason is that right now we can see the price of the scientific publications is spiking very steeply. You must know it very well as librarian. So with the same budget, the proportion that could be used for the scientific publications is actually decreased substantially. So we have to use the open science as the open resources to lower the cost of access to the open publications and open resources. Like the COVID has led to the very bad consequences and disruptions to the economy, which lead to the constraint of the funding resources to support the scientific publications access. On the other hand, the OA resources number is increasing, and also the categories of the OA resources are diversified in an increasing manner. So on one hand, the quantity has been increased, but the quality, on the other hand, need to be managed very well. Like the quality in the future, once it is open, will be even higher. So I think the first part of the question need to be noticed further. And the second, within short run, we have to develop the collection for the open source, and the quality need to be enhanced. And the second, we have to look at the needs of the users and their attitudes. In 2020, in Wuhan University Library, what we have done in several efforts, what impressed us most is that, for example, in 2022, we developed a so-called university camp for the library. That is for the benefits of the undergraduates in the universities. That is a design of the curriculum for the full-time participants and the students, and the feedback was very positive. And also the feedback and the consequences, and also the content of the curriculum could be viewed on the website of Wuhan University. And this training camp contributed a lot to the collection. For example, the reports of the experts and scholars with approval and of the scholars have been put online. And Wuhan University last year has visited the different faculty and departments to know the feedbacks and their needs of the library's service provision. For example, they want to know the most currently used tools and the approaches of the research. So later, we have done some AIGC related reports and put them on the repositories, which is very, very positively feedback by the users. So we must continue to know the needs in a continuous manner of the users and researchers. The AI technologies application and AI for research and AI for science has become the common sense of the world. But how can we utilize the technologies of the digitalization to empower civics? That has become the very important hotspot commonly concerned by the libraries of the university at large. So digitalization, empowerment is a very important word. And we also need to know the needs of the scholars. And Science Journal used to do some survey on the needs of the users. And the conclusion is that the willingness of the digital tools is very strong, and also they are willing to share. But the resources are very constrained. We believe the scholars most need to enhance their satisfaction among the needs of their own. So the needs of the users, the attitude of the readers are very important. And another one is also from nature. There is a research program on survey of the open science practices and attitudes in the social sciences. And the final conclusion is that 80 or 90% of the researchers once had the experience of open science. 88% of the researchers and experts are willing to share and participate into the open science development. So this is PLOS, so that is also a very famous journal. There is an article about how does open science practice differ between the research disciplines. We believe the gap is very big, but the shared data are mostly interested, and the willingness is very strong. Also, the repository and the storage of the data is something they earnestly lead, and that is the golden standard, or the golden standard for their needs to be satisfied. And this is the report from 2023. That is the state of the open data in 2023. So almost all the researchers have the willingness to share the data, but the knowledge are very much concerned and constrained. So where do they have the support? For example, they need the convenience from the platform, they need to be trained, they need the infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So after knowing the users' needs and attitudes, we have to look at our own conditions of the libraries, as well as the positions of the libraries. And then we can collect the resources based on the needs and based on the conditions, but several issues we have to concern before everything. The first one is that the resource, where can we have the source of the OA resources, and where is the distribution of these resources? Are they truly useful? Is there any commonalities among the resources? Because overall speaking, they are disorderly located. On the left hand, probably these are the available information and data from the journals, from the institutional repositories and subject repositories, or the e-platforms and the publishers-based database, and etc. So going forward with the development of the digital environment, more and more data are opened by the data owners. For example, the sponsor of this conference, CNKY, and on CNKI website, there are more than 180 OAG. On the right hand, this is the new eco-environment formulation comprised of the popping up new resources. For example, the MOOCs platform and OER. So on this MOOCs platforms, the data are numerous, and we have the consider utility. And we also have the science data platform and education platform. There are more than 10,000 types of them available. We also have the storage platforms of the science data, open government data portal, and the science media and other openly licensed materials. Previously, probably will feel like TikTok or the Bilibili or the little rap books are putting up some of the data that is only for the daily fund, but right now we can see they could also be themed as the storage database for the science as well. And there is a professor on account publishing a lot of data from his research. So I think the open science means that all can access to the resources and contribute to the open source. I have seen some people are nodding. So there are some opportunities which are also open. Second, there are numerous of resources out there. How can we combine them? Is there any tool for us to index and search for them? Yes, of course, on the library, there is a WorldCat for the purpose of indexing, and in the libraries, and most of them are open. And in some of the libraries, they also provide some direct open journals, directory of the open experts, or DOAG and DOAB, or the dedicated navigators like the Open Door and Open Air, and research with data based on the previous survey showing that most of the researchers that the storage data are the important channel for them to access to the open science. So the data are numerous, and previously when I survey and index, I discovered this chat, this platform. It is the distribution of the repositories of the subject areas. So we are very happy to see that the humanities and also the liberal arts number is increasing. The yellow part is the humanity and the social culture and the sciences, and the green and the blue ones refers to the science. So the data are numerous and massive. I just want to emphasize the fact that previously it is about the indexing tools for the data. Some of them could be indexed across different platforms, and some of the tools, they're positioned on the functions in the particular platform. So they have their self-indexing functions. So for example, there is some platforms for the higher education at the national level that is open source as well. And the second is the social culture and social science platforms. And we also have the National Science and Technology Report Service and also the China SHIF. And they are all open, providing their own indexing functions. The third one, now it is a era of open science. All of us are the producer of the content. So the content indexing as well as the quality control has become more and more difficult. So probably in the future, we have to select the best content. I have 5 minutes. This is the alarm for myself.
So when we go from OGC to PGC to AIGC, actually we are having more and more data, so it's more and more difficult for us to control the quality. So although we are faced with more opportunities, at the same time, it's very challenging for us to conduct the quality control. Lastly, how to contribute to OA resources. I listened to the previous presentations and I happily heard that many libraries are happy to contribute their resources. For example, libraries establish their own platforms, navigation tools, etc. And there are OPEC and Rare Books System, IR. And I discussed with other experts yesterday, and I learned that there are different contributions. So the different databases had different names, and these resources were made public. For example, ETD, special databases, mini courses, lectures were put online. So these are various approaches to provide the OA resources. And I want to especially mention that China especially values the high-level, actually information resource management in the age of open science. Last year, we held a high-level forum on open science for information resource management, and then we organized a joint research center for open science and digital resource development, and also the China Society for Scientific and Technological Information put up an open science committee. And in the end of last year, UNESCO held the Open Science Outlook #1 and China's Open Science Practice Seminar. And Fudan University and Nankai University also held relevant seminars to discuss how to build the information resource in an age of open science. Now, actually, many of what I share today is included in an article that is forthcoming written by me. Anyway, I have some thoughts on this, and on the slide here are some of the forthcoming articles written by my team. And also, I'd like to use this opportunity to apologize because this morning I was in another meeting. Actually, I was involved in the organization of another sub-forum. So you can actually tell us what you expect from our sub-forum as well. Actually, Wuhan University is also one of the supporting organizations for this event. Tomorrow, there is a sub-forum on the Future Learning Center. According to the hosts, our forum gathered the largest number of participants, actually. So I would like to welcome all of you to participate in tomorrow's sub-forum. Any comments are welcome. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, this is the end of the keynote speeches for this session. Thank you for listening. The next session will be chaired by Mr. Cheng Chuansheng, Deputy Director of the Library of Shandong University. Please welcome Mr. Cheng. Thank you very much.
尊敬的各位领导、各位专家，下午好。
Distinguished guests, colleagues, good afternoon. I'm Cheng Chuansheng, Deputy University Librarian from Shandong University. As I'm here, you will know that we are moving to the last section of today's conference. We have a quite packed schedule for today, but I think that we also gained a lot from this very busy day.
The next speaker is Professor Zhao Xicheng from University Library of Macau University of Science and Technology with more than 30 years of the dedication. Right now, he is the chief librarian of the University of Macau of Science and Technology. He used to be teaching in mainland China, in Northeast China. And after joining Macau University of Science and Technology, Professor Zhang has participated into the development of the community of the teaching and study to the needs of the students. So with that, I'd like to invite Professor Zhang to deliver the speech. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be very brief in reporting the intelligent campus building and achievements from these efforts. So the topic dedicated to me is the capacity building for the library. So I'd like to raise one question: what should we do? After listening to the presentation for the whole day, during this whole day meeting, we're talking about the AI data or open science and etc. So now what should we do? I'd like to introduce one article. In this article, it is said that so far the way of thinking of AI is diverse and very complicated. So raising question is more important than just giving the answer.
However, at present, I think we should not only learn to ask questions but also provide answers, because we have yet to fully integrate AI into the librarianship. The article also put forward some steps to ask a smart question. I think it's quite effective, but due to time limits, I would not go into details. For capacity building of libraries, I think it's the same with the capacity building for other organizations, revolving around 6 areas. For example, collection development, infrastructure and space planning, restructure. We need to build the digital laboratories and digital learning platforms, etc. And also, without collaboration and partnerships with students, faculty members, suppliers, and librarians in the field, we cannot succeed. So this is the second part. And we also need to think about how do we train our staff. In Harvard Business Review, it was mentioned that you should not ask questions alone. You should encourage your staff to ask questions as well. But we have a concern. In the future, are we to be replaced by AI? When I talk with my colleagues, we reached a consensus that we will not be replaced by AI, but AI will replace those who are unable to utilize AI. So in the future, what shall we do? I think speakers from previous sessions already mentioned how to train the staff, how to train the readers, patrons, and how do we collaborate with faculties and students. I think that is something we should consider in terms of staff development. And the next part is how to promote library services and resources, how to integrate technologies. I will go into details later in my presentation. I will talk about how to integrate technology in the development of universities. How do we align the technology development with the vision of the universities? And next, in talking about capacity building, we need feedback from the patrons, and we need to constantly assess and improve. Of course, funding is also critical. Previous speakers already stated that the cost is going up. However, due to COVID-19 and other factors, the funding already went down. So how do we make sure that the capacity building can be realized with a solid financial basis. This is also critical to us as well. So I'd like to talk about the library development. Due to time limit, I will select some aspects I mentioned just now. So for example, for library development, in addition to collection development, infrastructure, and space planning, the more important thing are mindset and action. I've been in Macau University of Science and Technology for 7 years. I think the most important thing is coordination and communication. How do we talk to different departments in our universities? Actually, when we talk to them, they know what we need. But in this process, how do we accommodate each other's needs and make them feel motivated to help us and accept what we need? I think this is very important. So this is a question of mindset. And also, some aspects are in focus here. For example, digital transformation. Without data, we can realize nothing. So digital transformation is important. We already face such issues. For example, the Teaching Affairs Department, without notifying us, applied for a new course. And for a new course, they have a new study plan. And then when they got the approval, and then they enroll new students, and they need to give courses to the students in September. Then if you cannot help them build their study plan, then even if they enroll enough students, we cannot have the classes. So if we have the digital transformation, then they can utilize the study plan and the cross-disciplinary course selection. You can do everything with this transformation. You just tell us what to do. So the reformulation of business and IT utilization are integrated into the university development. If we are to position ourselves, we need to say that we are serving the university. No matter how developed the libraries are, you need to be in alignment with the development of the whole university. You need to play a supporting role. And the biggest thing is our mindset. We need to embrace the change. Actually, many people go against the change. They are reluctant to embrace the change. Previously, when we upgraded the IT system, if we asked them to press the enter button one more time, they were reluctant. And then, in the same way, if you ask them to skip pressing a button, they were equally reluctant. So I think embracing change is very important for the employees. And what are we doing? Actually, these are the 7 functions of our university library. Actually, some of the functions should not be within the scope of our business. For example, textbook service center and the plagiarism checking. Actually, nobody can do this. So the libraries took this responsibility. So we are wearing multiple hats. If we are trusted by the university, then we can do a lot of things. However, the more we do, the higher the status we hold. So apart from being a literature assurance center, learning commons, information literacy training, we undertake other functions like teaching and research support, textbook service, and archive management. So we started from being a research support center. There are 8 steps in the research cycle, especially for graduate students and PhD students, starting from topic selection to editing and submitting. We provide them with support throughout the whole process. And if they are to publish their article in English, actually their English is not good enough to meet the demand. So we help them edit their articles, and we acquire some resources. And also we help them with the submitting and publishing. We give them guidance on which journals they should contribute their articles to. So this is a one-stop shop service model. And many speakers already mentioned today the establishment of scholars repository and academic output repository. Actually, we integrate them into our system. So this diagram shows you the integration of the document repository, patent repository, and the program repository. We combine them together. After that, the thesis, monograph, dissertations were put together. So this is just an IR. But in order for the leaders, the management of the university to understand what we do, we just call them an academic results repository. And HR evaluate based on this. And the second issue is how do we collaborate? The most important thing is that we collaborate with the faculties. I'm aware that I'm running out of time now. I will speed up. Starting from 2017, we started a digital transformation, and this is the strategies for us. Actually, we need to do a lot of things. We need to do a lot of reorganization, business process streamlining. When we have new technologies and new objectives, a lot of processes and procedures should be streamlined. And then we build actually two bases. Number one is basic data center, and number two is integrated base. And on top, we have different portals, PC portal and mobile apps. And this is the Smart Campus platform entitled We Must. So whatever you do, you need a guiding principle. So in this process, we build a PROS model, including policy, resource, user, and service. So the PROS model constitutes the core framework and core thinking model of We Must. What I want to say is that today we are discussing so many different approaches to face AI and open science. However, after our discussion, after we go back home, we need to put them into practice. We need to analyze the respective libraries and universities. Do we have relevant policies? Do we have relevant and sufficient resources? Which patrons are we servicing? And what kind of services are we providing? We need to be clear about these four aspects. A very important example is that when we analyze the teaching affairs system, we need to go into very tiny details. We started from an individual level to classroom level, so the granular level is very high. Now, let me give you some cases. I will skip this one. This one. Every library has a system for students to submit their graduation papers. when they finish their graduation paper, they need to submit one copy to the library. Most of them submit e-versions, and the libraries will convert them and put them into our repositories. Right now, the paper submission and plagiarism checking have been integrated into the graduate teaching procedure. So after being admitted, when they started their research proposal, they will start their writing. And then when they have their first draft, we will help them conduct the plagiarism checking. And then after the submission of their thesis, they submit their thesis to not only the graduate school, but also our library. And our library, through open access agreement, they will be automatically added to the unified search platform. And at the same time, they will be added to our IR. As soon as they submit their papers, they will be updated in a synchronized way. And another case is Chat Lab using AI.
Chat Lab is explore how ChatGPT is used. So in our university, we have developed the ChatGPT Atlas of the knowledge, and also we have the platforms from the Alibaba, and all of these platforms are available to provide a so-called chat bot assistance to the teachers. What can be used? I will not dwell upon the details. I just want to tell you that by using the GPT from the collection of the knowledge and discovery of the knowledge and the generation of the knowledge, recommending knowledge, and also the original retrieval of the text and so on and so forth, all of this could be done from this chat box. And we have the major area, which is covering the area from Macau as well as the other adjacent areas, and which are the cradle of a lot of very influential people. So we have developed 50 paper as well as the books and fit them into the GPT and to develop the database. And from the database, we'll provide the Q&A function based on the archives. By checking and indexing of these books, which is including the 50 books, as well as the future incoming information from the new data. And for example, is there any relation between the two persons? The first one used to be the former president of Tsinghua University, and the second figure is the president from another one. And what is the commonality of these two figures? Probably the list of the relations and the commonalities of these two figures will be demonstrated in here in the lines. So the generated text from whatever source will be referenced in here in the list. So that by looking at this line of the sources, we can retreat back to the original text. And right now, the service provision based on the AI, that is based on GPT. Whatever questions raised by the student, the first response, first of all, will be analyzed by the GPT and also responded by the GPT. And also, when Xia Baolong visited our university, he raised the question, is it the programmed answer or generated by AI? No, it is generated by AI instead of the programmed one. If the AI's answer is not good, then we will come back to retrieve and also to retrain the data again. That is the matter of the process. So far, we have developed 73 questions, including the library and also outside of the library. 73 questions are answered by the Gen AI within 1 minute. Once launched, the answer rate is only 50%, but now it's 70%. or more than 70%, 73% in particular, could be answered. And also, we are looking at what are the common questions raised by the students, and at what time, and about what. So the most frequently asked questions at recent time will be listed here. So by using AI and GPT to construct a tool or toolkits that can be used by the campus and by the users in the campus. This is what we've been doing right now, and we're very honored, and I'm very honored to deliver the speech to the audience today. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Zhao, for your excellent speech. Professor Zhao is a researcher, expert, and from the presentation, we can feel that Professor Zhao can bring more viewpoints as a manager. I have two impressions. How to be a person, to communicate with the people, to communicate with the different departments. We have to feel in the shoes of the other ones and what we can bring to the other ones. And second, how to do things and how to accomplish the tasks, which is rather difficult for others and on behalf of others to do and accomplish the tasks. Each one of the librarians can benefit from this speech. Thank you again, Professor Zhao.
The next speaker is the Dr. Zhang Hongwei from CNKI. Mr. Zhang is the Executive Director of the Digital Publishing Association. He has always been involved in machine learning and natural language processing, fintech, and other fields. He has very abundant experience in the digital publishing, knowledge management, and knowledge service. Next, let's give a big hand to Mr. Zhang Hongwei for his presentation on Huazhi Large Model and the Future Library. Welcome. Thank you, moderator, for your introduction. Distinguished guests, distinguished university librarians, good afternoon. When I'm here, I think you see the hope of leaving the conference room after a long day. Now, after listening to so many wonderful presentations, I'm hugely inspired. And next, I'd like to present on what CNKI has done in the large model R&D. And I'd like to talk about our thoughts about building the future library. We know that since last year, with the development of the generative AI, we have never seen any technology like AI becoming a hotspot for so many years in a continuous way. And many people think that this AI development will trigger a new round of industrial revolution and technological revolution. However, AI is quite different from the previous rounds of revolutions because the previous 3 rounds of technological revolutions emancipated the human's physical power. However, AI is something related to intellectual rather than physical power. So AI is impacting various industries and sectors in a much deeper way. AI is more and more developed. It can not only generate text, but also videos. But behind all of these capacities is a key capacity, which is a capacity in language. We know that the language is the boundary, represent the boundary of thinking and represent the boundary of our world. The reason for the huge development of AI lies in various large language models. It is exactly because it is able to understand the world that it develops so massively. Number one, it actually overturned the knowledge production mode. We know that the production and innovation of knowledge has always been something exclusive to human beings. However, AI can be involved in the generation of knowledge. But whether it can be said to be an innovation, that is debatable. However, we are clear that AI has revolutionized the information acquisition method. We can use a more natural method to acquire information, and it can also reinvent human-computer interaction. In the age of AI, we can use natural language to interact with it, and the GPT-4o can understand the micro-facial expressions of human beings. So this round of development has several features. Number one, it is actually a major innovation in engineering, and it is a very cost-consuming project. So actually, this is a competition between giants, and many sectors are only involved in R&D, but the real large model competition is among the big giants. Another thing, the large model is actually an ultra-high dimensional compressed mapping of the entire human knowledge. Actually, human beings for his or her whole life can only be involved in one area or a few areas. However, AI is a compressed whole of the knowledge from the entire human knowledge pool. Then how does AI achieve this? Actually, it is a gigantic thing. We know that the neural network has its own features. It's actually a simulator. And this time, the simulator actually combines different tokens. The token can be a text, it can also be an image, and it can be a video. And it is composed of various tokens. And it is a formula comprised of various tokens, and it is still statistical learning. We know that the basic principle of statistical learning is that if you put in nonsense, then it will give you the output of nonsense. So the third feature is that the controllability of what's coming out of a large model is increasing. When we judge whether it is time to implement a technology, is actually lying in its controllability of the generated content. Actually, previously, what was created could not be understood by human beings, but now, at least partially, what is coming out is controllable. For example, what's coming out is very logical. You can understand the language very fluent. And for example, when it generates videos, although if the video runs several hours, it may be inconsistent and illogical. However, if it's a video of 1 minute or several dozens of seconds, it can be very logical. And it can actually do extrapolation and some high-level capabilities of human beings were not possessed by AI. That being said, the capabilities of large models are still daunting. So the capabilities of large model are massive. However, we need to treat them in a rational way. So from the rationale, it's actually a human enhancement technology. It is based on the guessing of what's coming next. So from how it works, it's already determined that it is an aid to human beings rather than a replacement of what human beings can do, especially in the areas where AI cannot take responsibilities, such as in legal terms. For example, you cannot replace humans to give signatures on a legal document. However, in some areas, some of the AI tools can actually aid AI. Some previous speaker already mentioned that AI may not replace human beings, but it can replace those that cannot utilize AI in a proper way. And the most useful aspect is that it constantly amplifies the boundaries of human knowledge and also amplifies the ability gap between individuals. It can support the human beings to create and acquire knowledge. Now, in the age of AI, because the entire human knowledge is compressed, then if you are able to use this large model, you can have access to more knowledge, and you can use this knowledge to solve problems. Then, on the contrary, if you are not able to use this AI, then you will be left behind. So actually, it's creating a knowledge divide. Actually, this is the least we want to see, because our goal is to bridge the knowledge gap. However, like I said, the large model may increase the knowledge divide. So it has a higher requirement on the digital or technological information literacy. And human beings can no longer compete with AI large models. And in a very short span of time, the large model can get the knowledge that humans need a long time to acquire. So this is a transformative time for us. And in the age of large model, the significance of knowledge will face transformational changes. And for those common knowledge and heavily communicated knowledge, their significance will actually go down because we do not need to remember them by note anymore. But for those invisible knowledge or those approaches, tactics, for those kind of knowledge, their significance will go up. So from a perspective of competition, these soft knowledge will have higher significance. And in the future, we still need to understand how the world is operating. We need to understand the working principles of large models. Only after we understand them can we use them. So the kind of principle-based knowledge, their significance will go up.
So to the future education and the learning, they will construct the new challenges. In terms of education, for example, the principle of education is to transfer the knowledge by using the asymmetries of the knowledge. And the teachers know more than the students. But in the era of LLM, the large models would have way more knowledge than the teachers. So the education of the transfer of the knowledge from the teachers to the student will be highly challenged by the LLM. Against this background, probably we have to look at the knowledge service industry chain originated from the libraries, and what will be challenged and what will be changed from the libraries. Probably for the publications or the publishing, that is the very standard production and transfer or the communication of the knowledge. In the era of the internet, that already have seen the multiplication of the knowledge transfer. And we're talking about the open science, and we're talking about the OA and also the different patterns of the development and transfer of the knowledge. And we can see the generation, the different patterns of the knowledge transfer and the dissemination. And internet also disseminated itself into the grassroots level in a scattered and a more distributed way. So further, they will be more amplified. The functions will be further amplified because they will become more and more popularized, and also they will be touching the different corners of society by this technology. So in the publishing industry, new changes and major changes will come into being. So of course, the pattern of the communication and the circulation of the knowledge will be changed, and the service patterns will be changed. So at the downstream of the library, that is to service the education and research, that will also be changed as well. The nature of the education is to transfer knowledge and to dispel the confusion. So in the era of LLM, probably all of this will be integrated by just one model. And the education, for what purpose? Probably just like a ring, gathering all people all together in reading. So in the industrial era, probably that could not be done, but in the era of LLM, that can be done because the resources can be fed to the different people, to the needs and to the different levels and literacy level of the people. And right now, the classroom-based education cannot accomplish this job. But in the future, the LLM can replace all of these functions, transfer the knowledge and dispelling the confusion, and to be more creative in the learning process. All of this can be done by just one model. So from the upstream and all the way to the downstream, we can see the distance will be shortened and shorter. And the distribution or the division of the labors and division of the different functions of the entities is hard to tell. One versus the other, but the LLM actually has covered all the knowledge of human beings, and the libraries must keep the records and archives and collection of the human civilizations. Because we have to look at what kind of formats of the archives could be very diverse, and we can just imagine that. The LLM can accomplish all of these functions, but how functional it is, we have to think about it. So the CNKI right now is highly focused on the AI development, and there are three elements of the AI, one of which is data. CNKI has a huge number of the high-quality data. And when it comes to the computing power, we have a Huawei company in cooperation with us. They set up a certain technology laboratories, and they could provide the chips application for us to train the high-quality data or the processing of the natural language and to diversify the scenarios of the application of this data. So together with them, we set up the first type of the LLM to service the knowledge, and it was launched since last April, and we can see the very frequent iteration. And in September this year, further, we will launch the 5.0 version of the LLM to be synchronized with the current development of the knowledge and transfer. So this LLM on the whole supposed to be blended into the systematic scenario construction for the industrial development and the production, the application of the knowledge into the different scenarios. So we want to be down to earth and address the practical problems for the industries and for the different entities. So this is a very specialized large model or language model. And so the difference versus the generative or the AGI is that the generative AI probably is based on the open source data, but for the specialized LLM, of course, it is based on the internet, and the general AI actually can provide the universal language open to all. But for the specialized and academic large model, the production of the knowledge will be of high end and more precise and authentic for the purpose of research. And it has been injected with the high level knowledge with high quality from CNKY. And that is not enough because when it comes to the actual industry, we have to know the specific needs of the special industries and sectors. So for the LLM, there are two folds from 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, and all the way to the 4 times of the iteration to construct the true structure that can satisfy the needs to tackle the actual problems. We need the knowledge and we need the expertise and to answer the questions which shall be down to earth. And at least 95% of the very special and professional knowledge-based questions could be answered by this LLM. On the other hand, this is the 24/7 open, and also the publications are all open. All the generated knowledge are trustworthy. They have the source and they can be traced back to the original text and books. And it is based on the multimodal pattern, providing the services to the general public as well. Usually, the natural language part has been processed already, and in the future, we will also open the multimodal part to the general public in September. This will be a brand new version from the 10 terabytes all the way to 100 terabytes. It will become stronger and more powerful. So based on this LM, based on the multiple scenarios, the cohort of the services could be provided based on the publications, or the knowledge-related sectors will be all involved and included. The solutions will also be diverse, like the digital robot is one solution, and the indexing plus data intelligent management, because in the future we need a huge engineering project based on the data. So these kind of solutions need to be complete and holistic. Instead, on the other hand, apart from the standard service provision, we also have to provide the vectorization of the data service, and all of them will be vectorized in this industry. We have one jargon, that is the vectorization, to realize the high dimension vectorization of the data, so that when you search for the data, it can be very fast and very efficient, also very precise. So in the future, this vectorization will be further improved, so that the indexing could be even more efficient. And even billions of the lines of the indexes could be done within just 1 or 2 seconds. So the vectorization service could provide the retrieval service. And also we can provide the privatization solution. And we can fine-tune the data, and we can provide the large models based on the needs of the different scenarios by different sectors. So the Huazhi LM right now is trying its best to build the R&D eco-environment for the purpose of application. We are cooperating with the education, medical, and legal environment, and also the database and think tanks. With the Tsinghua University, we developed the LM for China's civilization. With the Shanghai University, just came back from Shenzhen, talking with the Shanghai University to launch the LM based on educational sources. So the partners' environment are synchronized and getting stronger and bigger in terms of the number. So for the Huazhi LM, we are using it in our own whole line of the products and upgrade our cohort of the products for the check-in management and upgrading of the services. All kinds of services right now are all launched and upgraded. So the check-in and the reading and writing and verification, and also the verification and contextualization can be done. And right now, all of the services are consolidated into just one matrix. And the service is all around in a food length, and 40+ application products of AI have been launched. I just demonstrated some of them in here, but altogether there are more than 40. So I want to emphasize 1 or 2 important application. One is the CNKI AI for academic research as assistant, and CNKI took the lead on the personalized generative professional knowledge service platform, and this is the first step for the scenario for the professional knowledge service. We have the target, we have the dream, that is to realize the true service provision for the personalized generative professional knowledge requirement. And we just not only provide the indexing of the archives, like filling the keywords and find the books or the resources, but that is not enough. And if you raise a question, the solutions and answer will be popped up very directly. And we have tackled another problem. The current LM has some loopholes. Hallucination will be generated here and there. And the LM right now could not produce the personalized answer. So different people answer the same question. The answers will uniform, but different people raising the same question would assume to have the different answer, and their expectation for the answer would be different. So the question is that the controlled and personalized indexing will be done for this purpose. So the natural language as the base for raise the question, and then the robot can search for the whole data based on the scenarios and also the literatures that will be referencing here. If I want to generate a new article, it could be done instantaneously. One question to different scholars, they are using the same pool of the knowledge, but actually the answers to them will be different. That is our future target, which is based on high-quality data as well as the very sensitive and precise modeling. And right now, we already put them into effect, into operation, and we are the first company, SOE, acknowledged by 2 certificates. After being licensed to provide the service, the subscribers has been surpassed more than 10 million. And of course, they raise a lot of questions. The subscribers use filling a lot of questions. Another case is that based on the LM, we provide the smart paper writing, and the content generated will be more authentic based on the massive literatures and with the in-depth of the professionalism instead of just like the generative AI or the AGI. They are very specialized and also very, very professional and technical. Basically, the literacy or the satisfaction rate of these articles produced by the generative AI can be up to the standard, academically speaking. But of course, they would not be published officially because they just be taken as a reference for research. And then, when it comes to the final publication, it will be fine-tuned and rearranged. About the development of the future library, previously I have communicated with all of you. We're talking about the future direction of the libraries. We have to observe our environment, or the whole industrial development environment from the upstream all the way to the downstream. All of them are faced with the challenges of reshaping and reshuffling. So the future direction would be more intelligent for the future libraries. We have these conditions. Right now, the libraries has been in position of a lot of data.
That is a most important factor for the future development. If we give full play to the value of these data elements, then we can empower the whole life cycle of teaching, learning, and R&D. Because we've always been talking that the most important role played by the library is to serve the teaching and learning. However, actually, in the past, the teaching, learning, and the library operation were quite independent of each other. However, in an age of large language model, this can be turned into a reality. So that's why I said the future library construction should be based on the vast resources. This is a big project. We need to build this large language model as a basis, and then we can build the education large model, R&D large model. And based on that, we can serve the future R&D, future teaching and learning, etc. So personally, I'm quite bullish on what's coming up. I think the future of the academic library is very positive. Opportunities are larger than challenges, and CNKI is pleased to get together with everyone to embrace such a bright future and to effectively implement AI plus action. Together with Huawei Cloud, we jointly carried out this library plus AI demonstration activity. So for the education R&D instructions at home and abroad, we want to select 1,000 libraries of education and research institutions to carry out Library Plus AI upgrade demonstration activities with a free gift of 1 trillion tokens of computing power. Any excess will be supplied at the lowest market price. There is only one aim for us, which is to promote the AI large model to be put into practice and reality in the library field. We hope that we can go hand in hand with each other to co-create the bright future of our library in the age of large model. Thank you. Mr. Zhang is actually a scholar with rigor and vigor. Actually, in the morning, at last minute, he was still revising his PowerPoint. That's why I don't have a script in front of me to comment on his presentation. Actually, Mr. Zhang used 15 minutes to talk about the basic principles of large model and the history of the large model. I thought that he would not talk about product. However, he still talked about it. Actually, his presentation is the same with Huazhi large model, which is reliable. Actually, there is another person named Dong Yuhui following the same path of doing sales with knowledge. I believe that Mr. Zhang's presentation will actually give us a lot of inspirations, and our library community will go with CNKI to co-create a bright future for academic libraries. At last, we are coming to an end for today. After one day's discussion and presentations, the 2024 Forum on Future of World Academic Libraries have been successfully concluded. The first day is successfully concluded, and I'd like to thank all the presenters for their presentations and participants for their positive response.